these quarterfinals have been stacked for a number of days now, so I think everyone is just feeling that anticipation of seeing what the ladies have in store.
Really putting together beautiful waves. Sally Fitzgibbons feeling it.
This is a golden opportunity for you to separate yourself from the rest of the pack.
I'm feeling pretty golden when I woke up.
Tatiana Weston-Webb up against Malia Manuel.
Surfing for the requirement of a 5.67. And Malia Manuel is going to take the win in quarterfinal number 3 here. It's a cat-like response from Carissa Moore there.
Wow.
Sally's going to open up her account here. This has been an event full of surprises. First final for Nikki Van Dyke.
Carissa in the final for the first time this season. That's got to feel good.
Go, Nikki, girl.
And Nikki Van Dyke's got some form going right now.
Nikki Van Dyke, Cascais champion.
And we're into the EDP Billabong Pro Cascais. Just locked in for Kanoa Igarashi, the 7.33, enough for a win over Stuart Kennedy. Series of nice turns there. And he feels it too.
Wow.
Innovation and progression. That's more like it from Griff. Throwing the tail there, closing maneuver, and he makes it in a tremendous shore dump, pounds the fish. Dilo Ferreira. And wow, what a dynamic maneuver there. Full rotation for Ferreira.
Oh, the arm cross claim.
Good morning and welcome back to sunny Portugal, the World Surf League on the European leg. It's a massive month of surfing. We're getting through it though. It is the first event coming now to a close. We've crowned a women's champion here in the Cascais Women's Pro. Of course, Nikki Van Dyke taking the win yesterday. And now we get to contest the final 4 here at the EDP Billabong Pro Cascais, a QS 10,000. Alongside me, Strider Wazalewski. I'm Gig Saliers. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Yeah, we've got great conditions, glassy, beautiful little walls coming in, plenty of surf. So a great call to hold this over for the real money time of this event. I mean, this is where it all comes down. These points are so valuable. You know, how many 10,000 for winning this is huge for everybody in the lineup right now. All of these guys just outside the cut. For the WCT, except for Federico Moraes, the local boy who's sitting up at number 11 on the WCT. So he's not really searching for these points, but you know what? These other guys, they're outside the cut. They need these points, and they're swinging for the fence.
Well, of course, this is where we get to see the Championship Tour surfers. Some of them looking to re-qualify at the end of 2017. Some of them just keeping their blades sharp for the upcoming Quicksilver Pro in France, starting now just 2 days away, Strider. So we're in for a great couple of hours of entertainment here as you join us. It is 4 surfers left in the draw. We're about to get semi-final number 1 underway here, and it's 4 big names in the draw. Here's our first 2, Kanoa Igarashi taking on Italo Ferreira, very familiar names to all of you around the surfing world. And then next semi-final will feature Federico Moraes versus Zeke Lau. 4 big guns left to blaze here this morning, Strides.
And look at the beauty on the wall out there, talking about liquid skate parks gigs. I'll use it all day long. It looks like a really good time. And here we go. We got a paddle. Guys are getting excited. But let me tell you, that water is freezing cold out there. It's probably, you know, high 50s at best. And I was out there. I felt like I had ice blocks on my feet trying to surf the other day. So, you know, these guys trying to stay warm, probably, you know, keeping everything moving, and, you know, their routine's probably super tight by this time in the event, and getting ready to do battle right now.
Local time here in Portugal around 9:30 this morning, so we're just passing through the high tide. Commissioner on duty, Travis Logie, looking after the interests of the local surfers here, and of course the qualifying series surfers, has deemed a 9:30 start, and there behind us now we get competition underway. We will crown a champion here, 10,000 points and a valuable 40,000 US dollars to the winner here. And it's a nice showcase that we get to see here. We'll see all 4 of these surfers feature this weekend again in the Championship Tour jersey. Of course, stop 9 coming up, the Quicksilver Pro France, but we are wrapping up the EDP Billabong Pro Cascais here. And we're looking forward to some sparky performances here.
It's a pretty wild thought, you know, these guys all coming off the World Tour. There's a lot of posturing, right? A lot of energy and feeling from coming off of World Tour events. And then you come down here to, you know, the WQS events where you have to qualify to get to that spot, and the confidence that carries through that. You know, you can see these guys are all the way down at the business end of the event. They've, you know, taken out the rest of the field. These guys that want to qualify, that don't have the luxury of being on that tour yet, on the World Tour, they're going to have to take these guys down no matter what.
This is the benchmark, right?
So
Yeah.
this is the benchmark. So it's interesting to watch these guys come down from the WCT back onto the QS, do the battle with all these fledglings coming up, trying to, like, you know, get their food, trying to just get a little nibble. And then these guys are like, nope, I'm eating all the food. These guys are taking huge points away. So that requirement on the WQS to qualify will actually be lower this year.
Because the lion's share is being stolen by the Championship Tour surfers throughout the entire schedule here, Strider.
And those guys could be double qualifying, and, you know, a lot of them taking all these points. So it's going to be interesting how this thing washes out. As we know, every year in Hawaii, everything gets thrown into the wind. The fan hits it, it goes flying everywhere, and then we get to see how it settles after the last event at Sunset Beach.
Well, we're already deep into October. It's October 5th, can you believe it? By the end of November, we'll have filtered all these surfers down, and we'll have some clarity as to who the 2018 Championship Tour surfers will be with those top 10 finishes on the qualifying series. Overview here of Praia de Guincho. We are on the often mentioned at the most western point on the continent.
Yeah, just that headland just above us to the north, you can see that's the actual most western point in Europe. Took a trip out there, took a look off the bluff. It's a huge drop. There's actually a couple little waves that slip in underneath there. There you can see that headland there. That's out towards the westernmost tip here in Europe. Beautiful lines rolling in, sandbars all over these beaches. Just driving up here today, we can see how beautiful the landscape was. Conditions are great. Absolute velvet, just putting green perfect right now. Nice and tight cut. It's going to be some speed coming off that ball when it gets putted across. I cannot wait to watch these guys drop into waves and light it up. These guys have been going mental. These two guys pushing progression through this event. We saw Italo yesterday go through the roof on a full rotation and riding out of it like he was just riding a bicycle. I mean, just so smooth right off the end of it. Judges gave him a huge score.
Well, we take much from the performances here at this QS 10,000 event. It is the third one on the schedule. As you mentioned there, Strider, still to get clarity on who will be in qualification for 2018. Looking at Italo Ferreira and Kanoa Igarashi, no rides yet underway here. Strider, we're talking about that big air. Let's go back and have a look at this one. This is from yesterday in the onshores.
Look, into the wind, full rotation, quick grab right there to just stabilize, and let's go. Purely just perfect land. I mean, absolutely just like a hot knife through butter, and that's the kind of stuff you want to see, and that's why the look at the beach is there, because there's a high-risk maneuver. This is the kind of stuff we come for, and that kind of surfing right there is going to get you scores.
He knows exactly how to press the right buttons at the right time, does Italo Ferreira, surfing now in the blue jersey here. You see some navigation taking place. Little rogue set rolls through on our competitors. As we mentioned, tide swings are much more extreme than a lot of the locations that we visit on the World Surf League's tours. But inside snag now for Kanoa Igarashi, and he'll just get tripped up there. So now a first priority handed to Italo Ferreira, and a rare mistake from Kanoa Igarashi there. He's been on form, especially here on the qualifying series, taking that win at Huntington Beach back in July.
That overview shot of that first exchange that happened before he even stood up on that wave, was so interesting. Did you see the duck dive? Okay, so Italo out front, in position, looked like he had pole position, was out in the corner, then duck dove that wave, got sucked backwards, and Kanoa ended up further out than him, who might be able to get a shot at that. But here's the wave that he caught. Did a nice bottom turn, deep bottom turn, cracks it, kind of a little off kilter coming back in, little foam on the face, catching the outside rail, sending him over, and he came unstuck. But the reason why he caught that wave was because he duck dove and slipped out the back.
Little underwater maneuvering, right?
Before
submarine maneuvering.
Italo got sucked backwards underneath. So pretty interesting, that overview, to watch that heat start. We'll see if that plays out in the flow of the heat and who catches what waves as this thing goes down.
Some glassy walls approaching here. Let's see if Italo Ferreira is in position. He's going to look at the backhand option here. Up and riding, wave one now for Italo. Glassy conditions here. Italo will knife those rails. Now sweeping and connecting. And that is a very efficient wave for an opening score. And Italo Ferreira will just post it nicely. Nice medium pace to his wave. While we're looking at these conditions, let's throw it down to Rosie Hodge. She's there with our commissioner, Travis Logie.
Good morning. Well, Trav, yesterday we were hoping for a 2-for-1 special and finished both contests, but it looks like today, beautiful conditions. We're pretty stoked we waited. What's the call?
Yeah, we ran out of light yesterday, but it wasn't a bad thing at all. There's no wind, which is unheard of for Ginshu. The conditions are amazing, super fun waves. So we're going to finish this thing today, 35-minute heats. We'll probably have about a half-an-hour break between the second semi and the final, and things look great. The cream has risen to the top. We've got 4 CT surfers left, and let's see what happens.
We know that wind can sometimes be an issue. Is that going to come up today?
The wind is forecasted to pick up throughout this afternoon, but we'll be finishing around midday, so hopefully it stays away from us until then.
Well, we've got a lot to look forward to. Back to you guys in the booth.
Thanks so much, guys. So good call there from Travis, jumping on the last morning of our waiting period here. Of course, we got this thing underway back at the tail end of September. September 26, we opened the window of competition. And Ginshu's thrown everything at us this 12-day period here. But we have managed to crown Nikki Van Dijk as a women's champion on the championship tour side of things. Let's break down Kanoa here for his wave number 2.
Nice deep bottom turn, kind of a setup snap right there. Gets a little caught up, throws it straight up into the corner. Nice power sweep right there. Vertical slam. Looks for a closer, but doesn't get it. Here's an aerial view, so you can kind of see where he's going right there. He gets a little tiny bit hung up. Flow being part of the criteria. Pushes a lot of water right there. Those 2 turns the meet, and then doesn't have a closer. So really, 2-turn combo in here that was worth the money. That turn and then this straight up slam right there. So those 2 flowed together really nicely, and that's what we want to see. A closeout hit right there would have really defined that wave. And then here's Italo's wave. Kind of the same thing, setup snap, another one. This one, he's just kind of building a house, couple blocks laid down, some cement in between, nothing really crazy. So, you know, for me, those 2 scores, pretty similar. I think Kanoa got a little more dynamic on his turns in between the beginning and the end. We'll see how those scores lay out by the judges, but a couple of scores that, you know, I don't think will be there in the end, or at least I'm hoping. I want to see a little bit more out of these guys, pushing the limits a little harder. Right now, I feel like they're just kind of going to work and feeling out the flow for the heat.
Well, of course, Igarashi will be building scores on that combination of major maneuvers aspect of the criteria here. Strada, innovation and progression, you'd think with Italo Ferreira in the jersey, that's possibly going to come to play here.
So Kanoa on a 4.83, and Italo gets a 6.17. So you see those 2 scores come in. You know, it is so incredibly hard to decipher who gets what there. You know, I feel like the 2 turns in between for Kanoa were better than Italo's turns.
Yeah, there was a part of that wave that had a really good clean combination to it, right?
But because the flow wasn't there, maybe they were kind of pulled the scale back a little on him. I
think that end section punch for Italo Ferreira is part of the meat there for the score for Italo in that 6.17.
Krakatoa for the goofy footer, one for the goofies there. As you know, I am a goofy footer. I'm waving that flag, going left always.
Well, watching surface position out here in the lineup, Igarashi does have priority. We do constantly update that top left of screen for you. As we mentioned, glassy conditions here. Good call from Travis Logie to hold off. Of course, the beach, it's a public holiday here. Let's have a look at wave number 2 now. Methodical from Italo. Keeps the rails nice and free. And almost a carbon copy of wave number 1. But now outside. Igarashi around the section. And a little in and out. Realizes that there's a tapered wall ahead. And he'll want more than that if he wants to slam into an end section. So rapid fire coming here in the first 5 minutes of this semi-final number 1. Of course, we've got that yardstick score now, Strider, over 617 to talk about. Thinking of Italo's wave number 2. Maybe a touch smaller than his opener.
Quick hit right there, comes around the corner, pushes the tail out, little release, another setup snap, and it comes down shut. A lot of flow, but the variety, you know, to me, there's, you know, this is just a setup. Then he comes to the corner, pushes right there, gets a little bit of a fin release, which I liked. Another push for some water, but then shuts it down on the inside. You know, again, at this stage, I'm looking for a lot more out of these surfers.
Well, building house is what is happening here in semi number 1 here. If you're just joining us, it is the QS 10,000, the World Surf League's qualifying series. It's made up a big 12 days here in Portugal as the World Surf League runs its European leg. Of course, coming up in just 2 days now is the start of both Quicksilver and Roxy Pros up in Hossegor, France. You'll be off to that shortly, Strider, along with the crew. Looking forward to some barrels, getting some intel that there are really good banks up there.
Not gonna lie, I got a little FOMO right now. Guys are getting barreled off their nut up there. Tube time going down all over the place. There's tube time going down around the corner here probably somewhere. I guess somebody's getting barreled somewhere always, right, Gigs? But right now out here, look at the glistening conditions that we have. I mean, this is unheard of for Guincho. We've got just butter out there. We've got perfect little peaks coming through. When those lines come through and you get to see that shot of the guys just anticipating. You know, can you imagine that feeling of sitting in the lineup? It's totally glassy. You're sitting in the semifinals, and there's a perfect peak coming at you. What are you going to do? You know, it's go time. You have to perform. Get rid of all those thoughts in your head.
Sneaky inside left for Italo Ferreira on the wide shot here. We'll zoom in on him as he goes to the air. There is the progression, innovation, and a futuristic approach, which has made him one of the world's favorite Brazilian surfers. How can we not love him? Fact of the matter is he is a complete freak.
10-point ride on the Gold Coast. Huge backside rotation, slamming it shut, then gets injured, takes himself out for almost the whole year. Now he's back and looking really on point.
Yep, we love having him in the jersey. Let's have a look at what he found on that first part of the wall here, Strides.
A little sticky off the front of it, but then comes to the inside. A little bit of a tail high reverse right there, air reverse. So he gets it up into the lip, throws it around. He catches in the whitewash on the top there. So the score's not going to go crazy, but definitely some solid performance right there in the lip and progression being shown. I think he's just getting warmed up. I think we're going to see a lot more in the next 20 minutes out of these guys up into that lip and above.
Well, local time moving now towards 10 o'clock in the morning. The beach is getting packed. It is going to be Frederico Moraes coming up in the next semi-final, taking on Zeke Lau. Down there at the crowds and on the beach is Peter Mel.
That's right, Giggs. Of course, today is a national holiday here in Portugal. They're celebrating their democracy. The Republic in 1910, they were given democracy here from a monarchy. So, of course, today is going to be coming on a beautiful day here at Guincho. It's offshore, actually slight offshore, sunny, beautiful. Of course, everyone here is going to be going for Kikash in that next heat against Zeke Lau. And there's even some crowd support for both Italo and Kanoa. Kanoa spends a lot of time here being his girlfriend's from Portugal, in Lisbon, in this area. And, of course, the Brazilians, always favorites here in Portuguese because they're speaking the language. Beautiful day down here, and of course, this is probably the most people we've seen on the beach the entire event.
Thanks so much, Pete. People flocking down to Guincho here. Of course, we're just outside the capital of Lisbon. Beautiful drive along the Avenue de Marginal, the Esplanade Road, which must bypass at least a dozen really quality good waves on their day, Strider.
Waves everywhere, not to mention just that little Cascais town where you can go and hang out and walk along those little alleyway streets and find yourself some good food. So everybody who's here for this event visiting, having the best time, really enjoying their time here, really loving what it has to offer. Seen some trips down south by Nikki going down just a half-hour away, just beautiful beaches and landscape looking just like you have to go visit all these different places here. So much more than we've even seen already. We've been here for 12 days. I cannot wait to get out and just keep the adventure.
Yeah, this
alive.
isn't a cheesy marketing strategy. This really is an incredible destination for surf and a very affordable visit to Europe. Let's have a look at now wave number 4 already unfolding. A pair of 6s in the scoreline for Italo. And he'll show us his ability here as he starts free-flowing on the inside here. His last ride, that air punch, just a 5.8, not in his top 2. So the 2 mechanical backhand right-handers making up his scores here. Strider 6.17 and a 6.07 for the early lead.
I like how much fire Italo's showing right now. He's definitely got more energy. He looks like he's gotten warmed up. You know, he seems like he's actually put the car into a little bit of an overdrive right here. This first snap, whack, right there, a little tail release. Gets a lot of water moving, then another drift into the lip, and then finds the inside corner for a straight air over that. Tries to come down, but comes undone as he comes into the transition, a little hot. First couple setup snaps, then finds down the line. Bingo. A little grab comes into the lip, and then as he comes down with it, he catches that rail in the transition right there. Pokes Taco, tries to find himself some fish underneath there. Unfortunately, that would have been a pretty good wave for him. Surfed it really well. If he would have flowed through that last air, it would have went into his top 2, I think.
80 minutes to go out here in semi-final number 1. Interesting to reflect across to the Jeep leaderboard in comparison to the QS rankings. There's Italo sitting 23rd. Of course, Igarashi sitting 24th. And Zeke Lau sitting 25th. So 3 semi-finalists here, all sitting in the back part, just outside of qualification on that championship tour Jeep leaderboard.
Italo will most likely, I mean, I don't have this cemented in stone, but will get an injury wild card for next year, as he's
missed 4 events
badly
on the
injured,
schedule, yeah.
You know, through the meat of this event of this year. So, you know, unfortunate for him, but fortunate for,
well, of course,
Italo, wild card.
Well, 3 events. Took that injury on the Gold Coast, so he missed out on Western Australia, Bells Beach, and his hometown, well, home country of the Oi Rio Pro. Here we go again, backhand. Yeah, this is where the points have been coming for Italo. Even though he's got creative on the left, it's been well-structured right-handers. Just being efficient here. Snapping away. Little inside tapered section here, and you'll just mechanically whip it to pieces. That is already wave number 5.
Man, if I just did one of those little vertical, vicious lip slams on the inside, I'd be stoked.
And we'd be hearing about it for days.
Yeah, you'd be hearing about it all day, and he just did like 12 of them. This guy has got so much energy on the face. Out the back, Kanoa on the replay. See what he got done, setting it up down the line. Quick speed slice right there to do something else down the line. You can see he's just looking for it. Kind of drifts the fins into the lip, rides up over the top of the whitewater and gets out of it. He hasn't found a flow yet. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I do not see the flow out of Kanoa yet. Whereas to Italo, he's got a lot more speed. He's going faster. His board's moving. He's just constantly rotating into it. He's feeling it. And this is where he just went to town. Just bingo. Little turns. Not a lot of scoring in here, but look at how fast and quick he's moving through this thing. I like it.
Different approach, though. Not the big end section to slam, more the tapered wall. So he's pretty much offering the judging panel everything right here. He's gone left, he's gone right. He's given us a number of versions of going right.
Well, he looks like he's just out surfing gigs, and that's the kind of stuff that's dangerous. When you're out having a good time in the lineup and you just find yourself flowing into waves, that's when you're the most dangerous, because you're actually in tune with Mother Nature. Well, and if you're trying to pace a heat, figure it out, I haven't seen Kanoa click in yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to twist your words and say right now he is out surfing. He is out surfing Kanoa Igarashi in the challenge. Stay with us. The back half of semi-final number 1 still coming here from beautiful Portugal. A look back to the US Open, stop 2 of the QS 10,000 schedule, and it was a performance that would get Kanoa Igarashi all the way to the finals. And he blazed through the field here in the tapered waves of Huntington Beach, making that Huntington hop look like no challenge at all, taking a full 10,000 points off the field. Kanoa Igarashi is on a roll in 2017 here, Strades.
What a moment, you know, for you to feel that. There's a profile on him if you go to check it out on the worldsurfleague.com/profiles, I believe it is, and you can take a look at them, and his profile has got him as a junior mint, right, on the pier. I want to be a pro surfer, I want to win a world title, and he wants to win the US Open, and there he was winning that event. Here's the rest of the events on the schedule. The EDP being the one we're in now, Hawaiian Pro, Vans World Cup. So 3 huge events. Winner of this one, 10,000 points.
Well, Kanoa Igarashi, Yagadora, Jesse Mendez. No problems with qualification. They will be part of the 2018 Championship Tour. Lots to talk about in the back part of the year with the qualifying series. A couple of people have bumped nicely up the QS rankings as well here. Of course, Keanu Asing sitting at 5th, William Cardoza at 6th, and San Clemente's own Griffin Calapinto sitting at 7th as we start narrowing the field down. Nice jumps there. Wade Carmichael sitting at 9th. Marco Rodriguez from Brazil, Marky February from South Africa still in the top 10 picture. As we start wrapping up here, let's have a look at a 6.2 that was awarded for that highly repetitive and grinded out right-hander just before the break.
Quick hit over the top, coming around the corner, slices up into it. I don't think we actually saw this one. We did, okay, we saw it. And this is
the one where made you jealous on the inside.
Well, yeah, because if I just do one of those turns right there, I'm like talking about it. So, you know, Italo, he's got all of his scores basically on those rights and doing pretty stock surfing. The 6-point ride coming in at, you know, the good scores. I don't think it's anything. I'm ready to see more. I want to see these guys really come into some crazy combinations where we're seeing the power gouge into a big rotation on the finish where we can actually see him ride out of it smoothly. I think the playing field is giving him that opportunity. So whether or not he's
not feeling the pressure yet to play that card, right?
Yeah.
So 2 stories here. Italo Ferreira, we know he's got much more in the bag. And we haven't seen Kanoa Igarashi get out of gear just yet in this semi-final number 1. Meanwhile, Federico Moraes in heat preparation. See Richard Dogmarsh alongside him. Very clear strategies being discussed there. They match up against young Hawaiian powerhouse Ezekiel Lau.
So what he's doing right there is he's got his little notepad, and on that book he's got all the scores that are going down. So they go over all the scores each day from their heats, but today he hasn't had a heat, so he's got the scores down there from Kanoa Igarashi and Italo Ferreira, and he's going, okay, look at this. This right here, they're getting 6s, you know, basically mid-range 6s for pretty stock surfing.
So they're trying to interpret as much as they can out of
taking what they can from the judges.
The 20 minutes we've just seen, right?
And then they're going to take that and put that down on paper. They're going to look at it. They're going to evaluate what they need to do to get their scores. And you could guarantee we're going to see an opener of some big power hacks from Kikash out there. And then he might even go to the progression.
Talking of that, Italo will now pick on another left. Mentioned that word progression. Let's see the inside section. It's a big hammer. And he'll get swallowed down there somewhere. So a lot of power still here on the inside dump sections. We are on the higher tide. Water is starting to move out here. And with that outgoing tide, sometimes some of the outside sets just tend to cap a little bit further out. Kanoa Igarashi hasn't really synced with this heat yet. Trying to synchronize with the lineup here in Ginshu. Kanoa has had a great run through the field here. Quarterfinal yesterday with a win over Jean Duru. Round 5 win over Stu Kennedy. Go back to his 3-man heat again. Got rid of Alex Ribeiro in the draw. Was a runner-up to Jean Duru in that round 4.
What did Stu say? Lucky little kid. The post-heat interview. I loved it.
Of course, as we mentioned, Kanoa Igarashi sitting outside of qualification on the Jeep leaderboard on the championship tour.
I mean, look at this heat right here.
But looking very solid on the QS here.
You got, you know, requirement from Kanoa Igarashi only a 7.54. That's not a big deal.
No.
Especially at this point in the event. This is, you know, at this level, you could get that snap of a finger. So, you know, nobody's blown this heat wide open. Like we talked about, Italo has gotten some 6s, stock standard surfing, nothing out of control. I mean, seen some action from some of the commentators, almost that good.
Kanoa Igarashi, of course, getting his best championship tour result at the last stop at Trestles, all the way to the quarterfinals. Did finally fall to event winner Philippe Toledo. But it's been an up and down year in the championship jersey. A couple of round 2 exits to talk of. Here he is now, already cementing himself on the qualifying series with the win in Huntington. And now flaring for semi-final number 1 here. Gonna get involved in the heat here. Prior to that, just a pair of 4s in the scoreline.
Little flare right there, huh? Little shot across the bow.
What's the downside to that? I'm just, as we start interpreting what kind of score is going to come, there's the requirement, 7.54.
Well, he's dropped priority, right, for that wave.
Yeah.
Did
so
a nice
it was an important decision.
We'll watch the replay. I feel like if he could have come out of that and gone into another turn at the end, the score would have been better. Right here, setup snap, big blowtail. I mean, that was a really well-executed maneuver. But if he would have went into another turn down here on the inside, so you can see it again right here, boom, comes around the corner, rides out of it cleanly. There's just not enough left there for him to get anything else done. We'll see where that one goes. But I do like the progression. I like the fact that he's kind of going, okay, you know what? I'm just going to settle into this thing and do what I feel.
Yep.
Because that's what he felt right there, instead of like going, what? I could just do 2 like stock moves here, but I'm only going to get a 6 if I do that. I'm
going to come back at you and say it was a softer section. So I've been watching, as we all have, the whole week, is that, no, his skill and speed and the flair was there. I'm just worried that they might dampen that just a touch. It's just a personal off-the-record comment.
Right. Off the record, on the record.
Exactly, right? Put the needle on the record.
Well,
we'll see where that goes.
Look at these sets coming in right now, Giggs. This is what I was talking about, the anticipation about what's going to happen as you paddle into a wave.
6 minutes to go. Italo Ferreira will activate again. Back to the rights he goes. This is where his scores have come from. He's been fetching 6s here in this region. And he'll bring his own little spin to win effort in here. Everyone's been to the Estoril Casino, it seems. And again, his wave also, along with Kanoa's, tapers out on the end.
So, but did you notice that these turned it up just that much? He's throwing in the progressive.
Little intensity
Well, you got
increase.
to understand that you can't win this thing on 6s, right? Yep. We're in the semis of a 10,000. We got 4 CT surfers left in the draw. We need some action. And I feel like he's trying to push on that lever right there.
Judges have still not revealed the score yet for Kanoa Igarashi. Let's have a look at that replay of Italo. Senses maybe that Kanoa's up to something.
Nice work right here. Pushes really hard to spin that out. I mean, that was That's a tough maneuver in that position.
Continuing with action here. Lovely snap to drift from Kanoa. Through to the inside. Big hammer throws all of his frame at it. So it's coming at us now with 4.5 on the clock. Lovely interactions going on here. Could develop into a nice tight tussle. We'll still see some more surfing in this heat. Meanwhile, Kanoa Igarashi's score starting to come in. It's going to replace one of his fours.
It's going to be interesting to watch that the Italo score drop as well. These replays we're going to watch right here, we're going to see Kanoa feeling the flow in the lip off that first turn. The closer could have been a little bit cleaner, but he definitely, this first turn right here, I like it. Look, it gets a lot of speed, blasts up off the top, drifts the tail, finds speed coming out of it, goes for the drop wallet right there. It wasn't as clean as I was looking for, but definitely went into it with some power. And here's Italo's wave. Set up snaps. A little hung up. Push power right there, then goes to progression. A little choppy, but definitely knows he's got to do a little more to win this heat.
Judges on a bit of a catch-up now. They owe us scores for Kanoa and Italo. We'll have a look at the comparison. Refresh the numbers top left of screen. One judge still holding us up here. Here it is. It's a 6-7-7 now in for Kanoa Igarashi. Meanwhile, live action. Italo's going to keep piling it on the table here. Laying all his chips down here. Big hammers now. One of those medium-sized waves again with that tapered, steady pace to the wall. And again, he'll just rasp into it. He's been operating in that zone all heat long here, Strada.
Yeah, you know, he's putting a lot of time and effort and work into those waves where I feel like if we tried to kind of peel out the field a little bit and go for some bigger maneuvers, he's going to jump out of that 6 range, and that's what he needs to do. We haven't really seen him pace into that bigger maneuver, which is what I think the judges are sitting back and holding the scale back for. They want to see more, and I think that they rewarded Kanoa for the progressive big move that he did on his wave with the highest score of the heat so far, 6-7-7.
Italo's previous ride with his little spin in a 5.6. So 2 minutes to go now. Judges still owe Italo Ferreira another score. Kanoa knows that the pressure's on here in semi number 1. No clear stories for a winner just yet. First snap to second snap combo. Dump section there. And he's going to try and sell it to the panel. We have seen points coming out of the bigger, heavier sections. Not feeling that that was the most dangerous maneuver we've seen all week.
Definitely not. But he threw up the double fist pump.
Yep.
He was trying to sell
Cream on the cake.
Well, you know what? Whatever it takes, not taking anything away from him. That's, you know, I think Kelly Slater has a jar somewhere for those kind of claims that you got to pay. Can't claim anything over an 8, I think it was. And I don't think that was an 8. Straight up vert, trying to throw a little slam there, comes around the corner. Good execution of board placement. When you slow it down, you can see that all those little nuances, but the speed and the flow and the power, the timing, it wasn't there for me.
Inside the last minute, point to note is that he was holding a 4.83 in his scoreline. He now replaces it with that last one, Strada, 5.53. But Italo is the heat leader still.
He still needs the score, right? He tried to, that fist pump was for the score. Here we go.
Italo, inside, medium-sized wave. Now these climb up onto the sandbar and sometimes give a little launch pad. That one's not gonna. Italo's still trying to gather numbers himself. There's a score owing prior to that one, but the requirement for Kanoa Igarashi is a 5.6. It is that close.
It's going to be even more after this next score drops from Italo, so it's going to be, I think, looks like one of Italo's higher scores, his last wave, where he's going to stay in the 6 range, but he's going to greater the requirement. It's going to be all she wrote, my friend.
We've wrapped it up. Semi-final number 1 is now officially over. Judges just brushing in those last little decimals to clean up the scorecard. But that man on screen, Italo Ferreira, is going to take the win over Kanoa Igarashi here in Guinshu in Portugal. And he's going to be on his way to the finals. And we hang the question, who will he be up against? Stay with us. Semi-final coming up after the break.
Okay, next team, we are starting you. Get ready to start. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Semi-final 2 is on. Pelo que está direto está aqui. No grupo de boa. Parabéns então ao Nicolas Ferreira. Já não irá para esse segundo lugar, também fica super à vontade na classificação para voltar ao top do caso de voltar. Tudo bem, não? E eu lindo por isso. Muito obrigado, Dona. É isso. Também estão muito bem-vindos. E em todas as decisões que a gente quer ver no bom próprio Cascais. E mais seguidamente com o Felipe Moraes na água de trabalho nessa segunda meia final de companhia do Amarelo e do Mal. E vai agora para o Kit. Está que vai sair. Agora, curva mais vertical, uma segunda volta um pouco mais elevada.
The World Surf League has brought the planet's best surfers here to Europe. It's a big European leg, and we move deeper into it. You're joining us in semi-final number 2 of the QS 10,000, the EDP Billabong Pro Cascais. It is a good morning here from Guinshu Beach in Portugal, as Cascais' very own Frederico Moraes will tee up against Zeke Lau here. Gig Saliers alongside Strider Wazalewski. We're enjoying the call. We trust that you're all enjoying it with us as we get the first replay. No time wasted by Frederico Moraes here.
12 o'clock off the bat, right as the horn blew. This went down, finishing on the inside with a little tap. So first move, the best move of that whole wave. Then Zeke followed him up, round the corner, big power gouge right there. That was beautiful. Another sweep back into the corner. A lot of flare, a lot of fire right there. Can already tell out of the opening exchange. Ezekiel Lau getting the better of this. Wow, that was dynamic, powerful surfing. On the rail, pushing hard. That's what we want to see. Frederico's got his hands full.
Well, the Hawaiian and blue gets savage on that opening ride. No scores yet from the judging panel as you join us. We have got 35-minute heats unfolding here. So still a full 32 on the clock. Lots of action to come your way as you join us in semi-final number 2. Of course, Zeke Lau showing that form. He's carrying it over from that quarterfinal yesterday afternoon against Griffin Calapinto, Strides.
No doubt that that guy is pumped. I mean, watching that opening wave, to come out of the gates looking like that with that much power and speed and gouging into the corner like that, you know, it's something you would expect out of the local kid, Frederico Moraes, just because he's, you know, at home and feeling comfortable. And the first turn that Frederico did on that wave was, you know, a 3-point turn. That was a solid straight-up vert slam and threw the tail out. So beautiful surf, but there wasn't anything left on it. Ezekiel just kept on pounding the nail, dropping that thing into the wood, slammed it shut. So really great, quick surfing. Got all his work done out the back, too.
Yep.
If you really go back to that first heat, everything had to get done outside, and that's what he did. On the inside, there wasn't much going on. There wasn't a huge closing turn, and these rights tapering off right now. So Zeke getting that power gouging out the back, doing 2 and 3 turns, where all the power of the wave was holding in that sandbar. Then when it fluttered out on the inside, didn't really care anymore because he was done with what he had to do.
So first exchange, we're feeling that it is going to lean in favor of this man on screen, Zeke Lau. Out the gates, waiting for the score still to drop. But a 4.5 now in for Frederico Moraes. Panel working on the opener. So one wave apiece here. Of course, Frederico Moraes, slightly older, slightly, well, not about taller. They're both kind of tall over the 6 foot mark, both in the 6'2" region. But Zeke Lau's applied the power, put the pressure on earlier. Strider 7.5 in for the opener.
3 points more, and I 100% agree with that. I was thinking excellent surfing when I saw that wave in the replay. Wouldn't even mind seeing it again. We could have some more action popping off right now, but really fun to watch that opener of Zeke Lau and the fire that he had coming into it. We'll see how the answer comes back, because Frederico's got priority, and he's going to be sitting out there waiting for that wave, and you know he's going to get it. I just can't wait to see it. Here we go. This is the replay. The opener, Zeke Lau, comes around the corner. Huge sweep into the corner. I mean, he's pushing really hard right there. Another one, gouging back down in, slams it up into the corner. A little hung up there, then finishes up on the inside. Watching the replay, score was on the money.
7.5.
Look at this push, though. I mean, that was a lot of work right there. Just a still shot of that. I mean, beautiful rail work. Comes around to the inside right there. I love the maturity that Zeke has found. You know, you think back to when he was a junior in Hawaii, just going for it, having fun, lanky. Now he's got some muscle on him. He's really setting rails. His time's paced well. He's just really playing through waves, and it's fun to watch the progression of all these guys.
Both athletes here serving their rookie year on the championship tour, backing themselves up here at the highest level of the qualifying series. Of course, Frederico Moraes blazed the field in Jeffreys Bay at the Corona Open J-Bay, all the way to the finals. Zeke Lau has had a good run at Bells, all the way to the semis. So they've both put their hands up for performances, especially on the big right-handers on tour. Think of the qualifying series. This time last year, Frederico Moraes was down in the 30s, found all his numbers to qualify via the last 2 stops in November in Hawaii. Zeke Lau was in the race the whole way and finished just outside at that 11th. And then, of course, the double qualification of Kanoe Igarashi getting Zeke Lau through to championship tour status. And with that having been said, Kanoe Igarashi is out of the draw. It was at the expense of Italo Ferreira. Italo is there, and he's won the semi-final #1. He's there with Rosie Hodge.
Well, Italo, looking at today's conditions, it's no surprise that you're in the final. Are you identifying these waves as something that you'd like to go mad on?
Oh, yeah, that was a good hit, you know. I catch a lot of waves, and I'm so tired right now, but I'm just relaxing and thinking about the final, you know. I'm so happy to be in the final right now, and I just try to catch good waves and try to do some big maneuvers and good scores. So I'm so excited for the final, and yeah, I can't wait.
And with a couple 6s in your scoreline, how are you going to improve that and go into the excellent range in the final?
I don't know. I just catch a lot of waves, you know. I put myself on, and yeah, I don't know. I think I just try to get the best waves and doing some big maneuvers to get some good scores. And yeah, that's my goals right now, and enjoy myself.
So you look like you're having a lot of fun. Good luck in the final. Back to you guys. Thanks, Italo. Good luck.
Italo Ferreira is a confirmed finalist here in the QS 10,000 unfolding here in Portugal. You are joining us on the last day of action. It is semi-final #2 out in the water. Of course, Italo, the 2015 Rookie of the Year strider, finished 7th that year, rookie year on tour. Frederico Moraes right now in that race here in 2017 when we think across to the championship tour. Currently sitting at 11th. Conor O'Leary just 1 spot ahead of him at 10th. So the rookies are coming off the qualifying series straight into meaningful performances on the championship tour. We've discussed this a number of times. We feel that what's going on at the top end of the qualifying series really does translate so well to championship tour forms. There are our rookies on tour for the year. Ethan Ewing way down at 35th as a discussion point along with Leonardo Fioravanti. Zeke Lau in the 20s in the Jeep leaderboard, and he'll go to the air. Nice little variety here. Now what he'll do here is he'll just extract another little chip at the end. So power to innovation and progression all compacted into wave number 2.
Zeke Lau, I love that he's identified the fact that he's got to get the work done out the back, and that's something we're going to see Federico Moraes do. But he's sitting patiently trying to wait for that wave, which could be dangerous for him, because Federico's sitting out the back waiting for that one that's going to give him that big open face. But you got to remember, we're sitting on a dying swell. Zeke going to work, trying to find waves. Big snap right there, pushing water. Right here, the flow, a little off, but definitely, you know, going to progression before he finishes the wave. Then he comes to the inside, does a tap. Right here, nice gouge. Boom. Quick snap. Then looking down the line, identifying a section, finds the progression, gets the fins free, does the rotator, comes into the inside, and finishes off. I don't think this is going to be a huge score, but I do think that the back, it's going to be a great backup for him, and I feel like it's going to put Federico in a very precarious situation.
Well, Zeke Lau awaiting that score, telegraphing to the judges that he has the full repertoire on tap, and he's prepared to go to it. Judges now constructing that score, 5 on duty on the panel, as is at every heat on all of our respective tours. Computer will lob off the highest and the lowest opinions and average out the remaining 3.
Zeke's going to put Federico into a combo right here.
Well, there it is. You're 100% right. 617.
No, almost.
Whoa, close. 917 required now for the Portuguese surfer. I like what you said, Strider, about the dying swell. I think immediately to the final at Trestles, where Geordie sat and sat and sat, and Felipe kept busy. Dying swell, it was obvious on the charts. Again, that's what we're dealing with here this morning. So for now, the Hawaiian has definitely got the right approach, and he'll keep nice and nimble, and he'll rove the lineup here.
I do believe there's 35-minute final or semifinals here, so I think that they have enough time to find what they need out there. But that's, you know, sitting around is dangerous in these conditions.
Well, of course, we saw Federico Moraes working closely alongside Richard Dogmarsh. Let's throw it down. We believe we've got some updates.
Thank you so much, Giggs. Yes, Richard Dogmarsh has been someone that's helping Federico become so successful. And Dog, you know, we saw you guys, the pre-heat prep, writing in the notepad, going deep into those notes. A little bit of insight into what goes on before the heat.
Just trying to prepare, I guess. It's really tricky out there. Zeke's had a great start, so he's got the better of the start of this heat anyway. But just to find where the predominant peak is has been quite complicated.
And we think back to a matchup that these two had at lower trestles, obviously different kind of conditions, but do you guys think back to those clashes and bring out some positive attributes? I mean, Federico did get the win there.
Yeah, that was round 3 in trestles. No, not really. I mean, the conditions are different, so that's, you can't really take one heat to the next. Normally the loser does more than the winner. The winner sort of forgets and moves on, where the loser like marks one up on the other side. So probably more for Zeke.
And what about Federico competing at his home beach? I mean, that's sometimes a challenge for some surfers when we get to, you know, the locations where they're from. He's handling it so well.
Yeah, look, this hasn't been the start though, so it's probably not the best time. But no, he's quite good at dealing with pressure, and he actually thrives off it. So it hasn't seemed to be a problem so far. This heat might prove me wrong though.
Dog, we appreciate your time, and we'll let you get back to the heat. Back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Rosie. Of course, talking with Federico Moraes' coach there. Now, what's interesting here, Zeke Lau has priority in the lineup, care of a little in and out wave that won't really garner much of a score. So a little error for Federico Moraes as we were speaking to Richard Dogmarsh there, Strides.
Well, he identified that he was going to sit and wait. We could see that. He did, and then he blew it on the wave he took off on. I mean, that wave just didn't offer up. He had a section in front of him. He kind of went into the whitewater, looked a little off kilter, and then, you know, the next, he just kicked out, looked frustrated.
Priority play here. Zeke Lau gets going now down the line, wave number 3. Another power display here. Almost replicating his opening ride. And he is in fine form. It's front foot forward here, the momentum in favor of the Hawaiian here. Inside section still providing a little opportunity. And he'll just pop it. And maybe a little jam at the end here as well. So kind of freewheeling it through here. Already a 7.5 and a 6.17 in the hat.
Hey, this first turn
was savage.
That was what we came. That, you know, I love when surfers turn up the volume into these final series. And look at this turn, right? He's got so much speed. Woof! Just really threw a lot of power into that turn. And then, you know, all the rest of it was here nor there. But that was the meat of that wave, the way he turned into that thing, where he gained all that momentum and then pushed so hard into it, you know. And this, all this stuff in between here is not a crazy scorer, but it takes so much effort. Here's the turn right here, bottom turn, sets it up, comes into the corner, finds the power pocket, and just pushes as hard as he possibly can. Almost pushes too hard, almost loses it. Like semi-wheelie through the halfway point of that, and then combos back into another little tail throw. So combination looking solid out there. No doubt that Zeke's finding flow and feeling this heat. Federico is not out of it, but let me tell you, Zeke is in it.
Zeke's way in it here. Power, speed, flow, combination of maneuvers, little progressional elements all sprinkled in there for a 7-point ride now in from the panel. So a pair of 7s here, 7.5 for the opener, now backs it up with a 7, and that is capitalizing on that bad wave selection of Federico Moraes during the interview. Now the question is, can Federico absorb the pressure? Here he goes, down the line. And another little glitch error there. He is the hometown hero. He is performing incredibly well on the championship tour.
He just needs to get back out there before Zeke does. Because that is, yeah, right there. Okay, put those afterburners on, buddy. Don't, you know, let's not, you know, cry over spilt milk. Let's just get back out in the lineup and get your job done. Because if Zeke beats you out into the lineup, this thing is going to be really hard to break back open. Let me tell you, sitting out back, you need to have priority. So it looks like, to me, Federico is going to regain priority, and that mistake for that wave will not be a huge bummer. But look at Zeke, he's in it. Let's see what happens here. I don't know, you know.
So it's short, yeah.
See the pulled back shot, but most important right here is priority.
Approaching from either side of the peak here is Zeke Lau on the bottom left of screen. Moraes over to the right. Moraes is looking at an inside right-hander here. So on the way out, he'll look for opportunity. Here he goes. Big sweep to hammer. Oh, and the nerves are eating up the Portuguese surfer here in semi-final number 2. This is very unlike Federico Moraes here.
I don't necessarily think it's nerves. I feel like the wave surface and playing field is so much different than what they've been riding. He's been surfing in conditions, you know, that are windy and choppy. Maybe different board today. I'm not sure. I'd love to know what he's riding.
I'm going to argue back at you on that point, but for now, Zeke Lau, squared up turns the left-hander into another wave here. Wave number 4 for Zeke. Feels that he's going to contest his scores on the rights.
I can't wait to see the replay at the end of that wave. Can you say feeling it?
But back to Federico Moraes just quickly. If anyone knows this lineup, if anyone's done the time, served it as a surfer growing up in the region, it is Federico Moraes. So he should have the entire scope of everything that Ginshu offers under wraps here, and it's not going his way.
No, it's not. And I feel like I don't know if it's a board choice or not, but that board just does not look like it's flowing for him. He doesn't look like he's getting everything out of it that he wants. He's so good under pressure. I don't really know if it's a pressure situation that's actually kicking in on him right now. You know, he's set up turn, nice and clean, comes around to the corner, tries to drop the wallet, but
he kind of just let it go, that maneuver.
Just does not look like he's got the flow on that board. Nice little setup snap right there, blows the tail, goes vertical. Again, right here, pushing water, finishing strong. Rah. The Hawaiian, Zeke Lau, feeling it. So this first turn, pushes tail, slides it out, comes around. This turn, just dynamic, vertical surfing right there. That second turn was all the money on that wave. Finishing off on the inside, he's gonna better his backup score. I mean, Zeke's looking solid right now. He could push the requirement into a combination situation right here with that wave. That said, with 15 minutes left on the horn, that's plenty of time for
the comeback story,
yeah, he could come back. He could, you know, get back on the horse, find a flow, maybe get off that board.
Casino number 777 now in for Zeke Lauer. Exactly what you say, Strada pushes it into combination. And basically Federico Moraes must find two brand new waves. He's got to serve pretty much a 15-minute heat now here in his home break.
That was pretty wild. That score actually went over the first wave of, you know, that pure power turn that we saw. So solid surfing, definitely. They really like the backhand, maybe more vertical surfing that they found. Maybe the other turns they saw more lateral and thought, okay, this is more vertical power surfing. We like it. Either way, Zeke out front, solid, just looking dynamic, powerful, and with a lot of fire. Whereas Federico Moraes just does not look like he's even in this heat yet. Not even like, I mean, he hasn't even put any money on the table.
Kind of saw a very soft effort from Kanoa Igarashi in that previous semi-final as well, Strada. And, well, as I say, no real arm wrestle going on here just yet from Federico. Two of our taller athletes in the championship jerseys, both of them in their rookie years. You'll see both of these surfers being showcased again just 2 days away now to the start of the Quicksilver Pro France. Of course, today is our final day of the waiting period here. October 5th, we're wrapping it up. It's been a big 12 days here in Cascais in Portugal. Nikki van Dijk taking out the Cascais Women's Pro for her first championship tour win. We'll take much out of this first stop on the European leg, but stay with us. It's semi-finals here. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
Priority rest technical. Normal condições, complexo o que estará precisando.
It's the World Surf League's qualifying series. There are 5 big QS 10,000s on the schedule for 2017. You're joining us here at the third one. It is the EDP Billabong Pro Cascais. Still 2 more big QS 10,000s to come. We've had a number of QS 6,000s already. It has served surfers like Jaeger Dora very well, along with names like Jesse Mendes still out front on the qualifying series. It is semi-final number 2, Gig Saliers alongside Strada Wasilewski as we finally get Federico Moraes, the local, underway here. You are joining us with Federico way back in the chase here in semi-final number 2. Around the corner. Federico's got a very strong forehand carve and he'll jam into that. And he'll finally get something with a little bit of substance to it underfoot. Wave number 5 already in this semi-final encounter. Out front, Ezekiel Lau, 7.5 and a 7.77 has a strong lead at this stage. And we are hanging the question, can Federico Moraes, we know he has the big match temperament, can he use the local skills and knowledge and find an unlock of the semi-final and try and join Italo Ferreira in the finals?
Well, he gets wound up right here, but it just doesn't really come away with the goods until the inside. A couple of choppy snaps to start it out. Kind of catches a rail right there, and then this inside turn I like. Slams it home, gets the fins up into the lip, and pushes with power. So finishing move super strong right there. We're going to go into, you know, this little slow-mo slice and dice right here. Throws a little tail, but those are setup snaps for Federico. You know, those aren't right there. You know, catches the rail a little bit on the way back in. He's not really, that was a great turn to me. I love that finish. I personally don't like the surfboard. Doesn't look like the board is flowing for him. You can see him setting up across the face of that wave.
Never really unloading.
Well, and he also never found the flow. You could see him kind of pushing, like getting, like setting the rail, kind of pushing and like, looking for it, and he never really looked like he found it. And then once the section presented itself, he had to go to work anyway. So he's looked like he was constantly trying to get the flow out of the board. But that said, he's up again.
5.9 now in. He'll unlock the combination, now requiring a 9.37. Federico Moraes will flow back to the backhand. That's a nice authoritative hit there at the end. And Strada, we've been talking about Federico Moraes' equipment. You can trust Peter Mel to find out stuff about that subject. Let's throw it down to him.
So I had to end up going over to the camp there, and I was looking through his backup board and the board that he's riding. He actually has to number each board because there's a bunch of boards in his quiver that are all the exact same measurements. Saw number 9 over there. I don't know the exact number he's on there in the water now, but it is the exact same board he's been riding all event long. So he hasn't made any switches. So what is the issue here? I think it's going to be what you guys mentioned earlier in regards to the swell dropping. There's not as much pushback from the wave. He's pushing hard, getting a little bit of those little hitches that are coming through, and that's kind of been the difference. Plus, I mean, Zeke's on fire, right? So I think that pressure added on top of it right now. But he seems to be turning around. He's one of those guys that loves the pressure, and he likes to answer to it. Crowd was in on that one.
Definitely, crowd got into that one, Pete. How does it feel down there? Is it, you know, the vibe good for Kika? Is the flow happening? Is he going to pull this thing out?
Well, it's turning around right now. I mean, the crowd is definitely behind him. It was crickets when I was first down here for the first 15 minutes. It is now they're trying to kind of help him out with letting him know those last 2 waves were good. But you're right, I think that he's still going to need more out of this one. So there is some time left, though. Don't count this kid out.
All right, well, definitely some great surfing right there. I mean, his best surfing that he's done so far, right, Kiggs?
Yep, exactly. And 5.9 on the previous ride. His last ride, 4.73, is not going to have any bearing on the situation. You'll see the new scores in top left of screen. Federico Moraes still trails, but at least that combination's been unlocked now, Strada.
Combo was unlocked with the 5.9, so he got himself out of that situation. He needs a 9.37, which is not an easy score. Would it be one of the best scores of the entire event if he gets that score on a single ride? I'd look at him trying to build 2 waves here. Going to be impressive to see him do that. I mean, that's going to be a tall task on a day like today, where the best wave that comes through right now, Zeke Loud's got priority. He's just going to sit there and wait and wait and wait until this thing is in the fridge and the jello starts to jiggle and the eggs get hard, and, you know, he's going to march into the final.
Well, he's doing that on the strength of 7s in the scoreline. So you'd think that Federico Moraes can at least find a 7 and bring himself right back into contention here, but can't go to war with a 5.9 and a 4.73 in the scoreline. And you mentioned it earlier, at this stage of competition, when we really narrow the 112 surfers down to the pointy end here.
Tactically, this is what you do. You're going to kind of hover on your opponent.
So Zeke has let Federico go here. So under priority, first rip now. The Portuguese surfer will do a big stab there, very vertical punch.
More fire.
More fire.
That's what I see. Now he feels the pressure, everything happening. He is pushing harder. He's driving through turns. You know, like what Pete said, there's been a lot more power involved in the waves. So he's going to have to flip that coin over and create that power, which is what he just did. You can see him pushing harder right here. So Zeke kind of looking at it going, okay, we'll see. So right here, he gets up, gets a lot of flow going, snaps into the lip right there, beautiful, then goes vertical up into it. A little missed time there, so not, you know, what he wanted out of it, but he was pushing harder. He was going faster, and that's what he has to do, is turn the table on the conditions and put that power forward of his own to try and create that same dynamic that he had in the last, 4 days of this event.
So Zeke Lau pretty much has just held position. You can see he's almost lying there like a crocodile, just looking at Federico. He's kind of lying there very still. He knows he's got his stash of the 7.77 and 7.5 in his belly.
And he's just going to wait, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's it.
tactically, in this point of the heat, there's just over 6 minutes left. Yep. Your opponent, he needs a really good wave. So really, he's going to need 2 waves if you really do the math. And then you're going to sit there and you're going to wait and watch and wait and watch and wait and watch to see if a wave really is going to come through that's going to change the situation.
Federico switches it back to the right-handers. Little zip. He's got that beautiful combination bottom turn, top turn to release. Another inside snap. And this is going to be a healthy number, we feel, as he goes through the inside section. Little jam again. He's going to milk it for all it's worth. It is a beach break, and he'll slam it home at the end. And we already start thinking back and reflecting to what Ezekiel Lau has found on the right-handers. And Kikas is kicking himself into action here.
There's the fire, man. So he lit it up a little bit, right, on that 483. We got to see, you know, there's some energy pushback and energy on the wave because of the weakness of the swell. But look at this. This is good surfing. Solid up into the bowl right there. Slams away. Pushes hard right here. That was the best turn so far. Sweeps the corner. Looking for more on the inside. A lot of energy to keep that board flow across these waves out here today. So solid surfing right there. We'll see where the judges go with it.
Totally manufacturing that score. It was a in my opinion, still a fairly substandard wave there, Strada, but didn't have the size of Ezekiel Lau's right-handers. But I think that's going to carry some meat and some weight.
Could be the best wave of the heat so far for him.
You spot on, Strada. 6.23 now in means a requirement of a 9.04 as we get it down to 4 minutes to go. Now remember, Zeke Lau was against Griffin Calapinto yesterday, and Calapinto came to war with a 9.5. We've got that on record. I'll show you what a 9.5 looks like from yesterday afternoon, because that's what we got out of the quarterfinals. Zeke Lau was part of that.
Bottom turn, direct into the lip, blows the tail, waits forward, comes out of it with speed. This section right here, that's just like a Mack truck coming at you, and he throws it up into the face of it and comes out on top of his board. Really dynamic execution, timing, beautiful surfing right there. Calapinto loved it. And we loved it. The judges loved it, up into the 9s. So we'll have to see that kind of surfing out of Federico Moraes if we're going to see this heat turn here in the final 3.5. Zeke is not even going to sniff out a wave unless Moraes is looking at it. So he's not even going to look at a wave until Moraes looks at it. I mean, even if it's a perfect wave, he's not even going to look at it.
Looking at conditions on hand here with 3 minutes to go, kind of got a gut feel. We haven't seen a real set for a couple of minutes now. We've seen a couple of 2-wave sets still left over in this dying swell. So this thing's still wide open. But Strada, as you mentioned, Ezekiel Lau's not going to do anything unless he feels a threat coming from Federico Moraes, and that is going to be all about wave selection. 6.23 and a 5.9 in the scoreline for Federico Moraes, but looking for the 9.04.
Something crazy is going to happen to get this thing out of the fridge, man. Right now, Zeke is in a very commanding position, sitting out in that lineup, tactically playing the game perfectly. So, you know, this is an interesting one to watch. Zeke power gouging. Look at that. Beautiful surfing right there. A lot of flair, speed. Dropping that rail down into the power of the wave. Matching it. And that's what it's all about. That's how you get a score, is you put that board into that power pocket, match power for power, and it creates some dynamic surfing, which he's done throughout this heat. He's looked stronger, faster, and more dynamic this entire heat so far, and the judges have shown that with the scores. There's a 6.23 on the inside right here for our man Federico Moraes. Putting together a couple of scores. Actually, I think this was the 5.9. Bang! That was the 5.9 closer right there.
And to me, he's getting those scores, the Portuguese surfer in red, on kind of substandard waves. Zeke Lau is blanketing the lineup right now. So Federico's really had to manufacture scores. There you see the work rate. It's twice the amount of waves selected in the lineup. The best effort coming at the final wave for Federico Moraes. And Zeke Lau's bookcased his efforts, opened strong, and is maintaining through for the lead here with down to 1 minute to go.
And looking at the work rate, it's not like Federico didn't have the opportunities up front. He just didn't put the hammer down.
Yep.
He got out there, caught a couple waves,
start, man.
was sleepy on his waves,
yep.
and then realized he had to fire back with his own power, but then put himself in a position where he hasn't had priority to get those scores. And that's unfortunate for Federico because he has looked so solid throughout this entire event. But guess what? No matter what, he's going to be on stage when this thing goes down because he is the poster child of this event. So his face will be glaring over the shoulder of the winners of this event no matter what.
Of course, Federico Moraes, a local here in Cascais, comes from a sports-rich family with a rugby background, we're told. Big, tall frame. In fact, these are two of our biggest surfers on the championship tour as well. Both of them rookies in 2017. Both of them around 6'2", carrying a lot of height, weight, and leverage on their equipment. But it's going to be Zeke Lau, the Hawaiian, into the finals here of the EDP Billabong Pro Cascais. So the third QS 10,000 will see a Brazilian and a Hawaiian going to it for the $40,000 first prize. And of course, a full 10,000 points to the winner here. But for now,
that shot right there, all the crowd on the beach still clapping and appreciating what's happened. That's a pure look into Portugal, the people, and this place. Everybody here really showing a lot in the way of comfort, hospitality. I love that.
Semi-final number 2 is something for the history books. We have set up a big final here in Guinshu in Portugal. Italo Ferreira will be taking on Zeke Lau. Zeke just freewheeling here through. We're going to give him a little rest. And we'll be calling in Kaipo Guerrera and Peter Mel for the call for the finals. Stay with us here in Portugal.
Welcome back to the World Surf League coverage of the EDP Billabong Pro Cascais. This is the pre-finals show, and then there were 2. Kaipo Guerrero along with Peter Mel setting up this final, and we're setting up for quite a clash. Beach looking great. We get a vision right here, Pete, of Zeke Lau coming in after a commanding performance over the local favorite, Federico Moraes. But Kikas is going to have to settle for a third because the Hawaiian's in the final.
Still a really good result for Freddie. I mean, obviously sitting very comfortably in that top 22 on the championship tour, so he's looking good. But looks like we're going to have some words from the Hawaiian.
Let's get a word with Rosie Hodge.
That's right, our second finalist established in Zeke. I caught a glimpse of you in the competitors area, and sometimes it seems like a heat is won even before you hit the water. Your focus is impeccable at the moment.
Yeah, I've just been feeling really good. I got some really good boards under my feet. Just thank you to Channel Islands and Britt Merrick over there. Really helped me get dialed in, and I think that was the key for me for a while. And you know, that just having that factor in, I have way more confidence in my surfing and trusting in my ability of, you know, getting the right waves and allowing me to do what I have to do.
And Federico, obviously a local favorite here, but you got him back for that round 3 heat at Lowers. That's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, I was thinking about that all night. I was like, God, I can't let this guy get me again. But you know, Federico's been a good friend, and I've been knowing him for a long time, and it's just good to get those battles, and you know, it makes you better. I mean, I felt like I grew so much from just that heat at Lowers, and you know, it's good to get back at him.
Let's think about the final coming up against Italo. You guys have pretty different surfing styles. What are you going to bring to the final?
I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. It seems to be working, and I feel confident in what I can do, and just stick to my solid game plan and just go out there and enjoy it.
Well done. Good luck for the final, Zeke. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Rosie. Congratulations, Zeke Lau. And look like he's on a roll. But you know what, Pete? I'm going to go on the record. It's an old cliche. He talked about his boards, right? It's not the arrow. It's the Indian. He had this in him the whole time. If he thinks it's the boards, that's great. I'm sure he's got beautiful equipment underneath his feet from Channel Islands, Mike Andrews. But
hey, if you got a good straight arrow,
it helps the shooting.
It's going to get you the bullseye. Come on. You definitely need to take care of that. It's a tool. It is one of the only tools that you use besides your mental and your brain and your head. You got to have it all.
I just have a lot of confidence in Ezekiel Lau. I think I picked him out very, very early in this competition.
But you pick him every event.
I do pick him every event. This is the truth.
I know. I see your team.
But you know what? It's really good to see him come in stride right now. The final, though, he's going to be up against another informed surfer, and conditions are going to play. But just taking a look at Zeke, he's got a little while to regroup before this final and take this time to get with his crew.
It almost feels like he should be kind of just ignoring that for now.
Almost, it's
right?
not too early. Too early for a celebration.
Hey,
right
but
now.
It's, you know, the fans are happy. They're coming in and saying hi. You know, but right now, hyper focus. Get to Jake and turn around. That heat's done. Now you got a final.
Well, Zeke's got a great support squad coming down here to support him. Is Seth Moniz, Josh Moniz, Keanu Singh's here, Griffin Colapinto. It's an army of 4 along with Jake Patterson. So that's 5 supporters. Let's take a look at Ezekiel Lau's road to the final.
And of course, he has been bringing the power game, but one of the things that I've seen that he's been able to do as well is that he's been bringing some of the air game. He has it. I haven't seen a lot of it on the championship tour, but here he's been putting it together. I mean, he's been finding barrels even. So, I mean, he's been out, you know, whatever the wave has been calling for, whatever the heat situation's been calling for, whatever the strategy that was planned before the heats, he's been able to execute. And I think that's the key for me, is that when you can get a plan and you can put it together. I mean, he even had a board hit mishap. He lost a fin, but boom, sure enough, he's right back in the lineup. No worries there. Ended up making the heat. So it's not, I mean, he had the backup board, which was working good too. He talked about the relationship he's had with Britt, and I know that relationship going with Britt and actually going to his home. I mean, Britt's got the perfect little place that's away from everything. It's he's been able to forge that relationship in the shaping room, talk about what they want, what the boards feel like, make little subtle adjustments on equipment that already works, right? I mean, they're already good rockers, good designs, just subtling, you know, make those little subtle changes to fit the personality of the surfer. And, you know, it's worked out really well. Good straight arrow he has, but I think most of it right here is when you start executing plans, that's when you start to build more confidence, and he's been doing that each and every heat.
Zeke's road to the final, round 5. He had one over on Alejo Moniz. Then he followed up with a friendly competition, taking out Griffin Colapinto in the quarterfinals, and we just saw Ezekiel Lau take out local favorite Federico Moraes, and that's how he's going to have this finals berth. And it sounds like the big Hawaiian is on a roll.
One of the things I've noticed too is that today's much different than what we saw in the last few days of competition. It's been blowing, it's been big, it's been wild to try and find waves. Today, much more centralized on the takeoff zone, and much more about wave selection, you know, not just wrangling anything that's kind of coming your way that looks like it has an opportunity. Now it's about choosing the right wave. So the adjustments made from the camp by Zeke Lau for today's action, awesome. You know, he was out there, he put the good score in the books right out of the gates with that power, beautiful snaps, you know, and applied that pressure right back at Federico Moraes and actually hushed the crowd a bit, you know, because if you're going to look at the 4 people that were in the semifinals, you'd have to say that Zeke probably, as a, I mean, crowd favorite. I mean, they're going to give accolades to everyone, but it's all about trying to, you know, quiet the crowd. He did that.
He sure did. The crowd came out to see Federico Moraes. Let's hear from Federico. He's with Rosie Hodge.
Thanks so much, Caps. Yeah, there's such a great scene down here with all the Groms coming to give you support. That must feel pretty good, standing on your home beach with all the Groms looking up to you.
Yeah, it's amazing. It feels unbelievable. Even I didn't get through. It's amazing to have everyone here supporting and come to cheer me. And yeah, it was a really tough hit. Zeke surfed really good, and it's really hard out there. It looks really clean, but it's hard to find the good ones. And well, he found the best one, so well done, Zeke, and thanks everyone for coming. It has been an amazing week, and now off to France.
And you know, we just think about the rhythm of the ocean and how that can tip in one surfer's favor. It just seemed like, you know, Zeke was so tapped in here. How do you flip that around, and how can you learn from this heat?
Well, Zeke got the rotation really good. He got that first 7, then got a 6, then another 7, then another 7, and just felt like he was always on the right position, always on the right spot when he pedaled back out, and I was just kind of missing those ones. And yeah, and once you get out of the rhythm, it's really hard to come back, and there's not many waves. So yeah, it was a really tough one for me, but yeah, we'll come back stronger.
Love it, Federico. Can't wait to see what you do in France. Back to you guys. We'll be seeing the final hit the water soon.
All right, well, Federico Moraes coming in here as a favorite, always a gentleman. Looking forward to his surfing in France as the Quicksilver and Roxy Pro start October 7th, so a couple days away. The waiting period starts there in France, and rapid fire here on the European leg.
Yeah, it's going to be a quick turnaround. I mean, we're going to be jumping into planes here tonight and tomorrow, and sure enough, we could be starting the first day of the waiting period. Looks like the forecast looks okay for the Quicksilver Pro, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, you just got to pack it up. And I think that these guys, being that I mean, it's a good result. You know, a semifinal and a QS 10,000, plenty of points on offer for Federico. Again, doesn't really need the QS points, but ultimately, it's great confidence he can carry into the next event.
The local legend grows.
Yep.
When we come back from the break, we're going to take a look at Italo Ferreira's road to the final. Stick around for coverage of the EDP Billabong Pro Cascais.
estamos a 15 minutos da final, entre Rico Pereira e Ezequiel Lau. Já está no EDP.
Welcome back to the EDP Billabong Pro Cascais. We're in the pre-final show. Kaipagura along with Peter Mel as we break it down in anticipation for our last heat, the final heat here. It's been a long week. We started with 128 competitors, and now we're down to 2. Peter Mel.
And this is a big event. You know, we talk about how important the QS 10,000s are, and how these surfers have to get results here, at least quarterfinals or above. I mean, I was just having a conversation with Keanu Singh, Griffin Colapinto, who are, you know, looking at the rankings. You know, they're in that top 10 right now, but they realize that, you know, in these bigger events, it's about getting to the quarterfinals and trying to simplify things, get to that quarterfinals, then it's a big result no matter what, and you're going to be able to carry that momentum and most likely finish on the championship tour at the end of the year.
Yeah, both of those surfers actually looking really good, but we got a lot of surfing to do still. 2 more 10,000s happening in Hawaii. I gotta say, Camp Snaketails has done a really good job at this event. When you look at all of the placers as we got into the, you know, the final 16 here, how many people from that camp were able to make that final 16?
Pretty much all of his camp.
Yeah, pretty much all, exactly. And then we have one of his camp in the finals right here in the way of Zeke Lau, preparing for his final against Italo Ferreira.
Looking at some of my, you know, experiences throughout traveling on tour. You know, that I know that we had a group of Santa Cruz guys that were all, there was probably 6 or 7 of us at one point, and we all traveled together. We shared cars, we shared houses, and that kind of group mentality of, you know, utilizing each other's energies really does help.
The Santa Cruz crew.
Well, and I'm just saying that he's probably, you know, the Snaketails crew, similar thing. You know, they're feeding off each other's energy, they're supporting each other, and it's this kind of group effort that's on this QS thing, and it's translated also onto the championship tour, because you look at Kanoa and Leo. You know, Zeke, all these guys are on the tour together, so they get to travel together, and they kind of understand it. It becomes this comfortable kind of family atmosphere on the road, and
I like
it seems to be, you know,
I like
seems
that
to be
insight.
working.
But you know what? You had an advantage with the Santa Cruz crew. You guys all had really cool nicknames as opposed to these guys. You know,
well, I mean, I'm sure they got nicknames that they've got too. I mean, it's similar to what the Brazilians do. You know, they all travel together as well, right? And so they're feeding off each other's energy. You look at Italo as an example, been hanging out with Jadz and Andre, good friend. They have a good time together. There's a ton of Brazilians on tour that are all here supporting each other. We've seen it over and over again.
As we see Italo prepare for this final, let's take a look at Italo Ferreira's road to the final.
You know, it started early in this event. Of course, you get to start second round for these, or third round, sorry, for the Championship Tour surfers. Actually, for Italo, he started out in heat number 6 of the round of 112. Sorry, the round of 96. But you know what? Looking at the 3 rounds, they were all 4-man heats or 3-man heats. Italo didn't win any of those.
No.
He finished second each and every 3-man heat second.
Pacing himself. He's pacing himself.
Yeah, okay. Well, and here he is in the final. It doesn't mean you have to win. It doesn't mean you have to be a dominating performance. You just got to get through and make sure you do what you need to do.
Once he got into the man-on-man, though, he took out Keanu Singh. Then the friendly rivalry took out Jadz and Andre in the quarterfinals, and we saw him take out Kanoe Igarashi this morning in semifinal number 1. So Italo has been actually building, it's a cliche that we say he's been building a house, but he really has been building a house on what he's showing us, Peter. You know, I think he held back earlier in the competition. I think right now he's been showing us more and more of his entire repertoire, and I think the crescendo is going to happen in this upcoming final.
Well, it's going to have to, right? I mean, and that's what I think, that if you're going to look at what is that winning formula for Italo against a guy like Zeke Lau. Zeke Lau is going to bring you a lot more power, I think, just in the technique that he uses. Not to say that there's one more powerful than the other, but just in the way that we've seen so far, at least this morning. Italo, I think, is one of the things that he's going to bring, that he's going to be able to kind of shine at, is that innovation and progression. He's got to go and do something big. He's got to get the crowd behind him, and he's got to demoralize, which is not easy to do, as Zeke Lau, you know, early in the heat. That's where you kind of do. You saw it happen where, you know, Frederico was behind the entire heat, and it's a lot tougher when you have that pressure to be able to execute and get, you know, a priority is going to be a part of it as well. But that rhythm, right? And Zeke had it right out of the gates. Italo this morning, it wasn't the easiest win for him. I mean, that to me was a really, really close heat. It literally was very close on paper as well. He's surfing really good and quick. I think he brings that to the table and throws some innovation and progression in there. That's going to be his elements to win.
Rapid fire, quick twitch surfing from Italo Ferreira, though. Could be an advantage in the conditions, Peter, because you know, the swell is starting to drop noticeably every single minute. And Italo Ferreira, not only is he speedy, not only is he quick, but he's extremely light-footed. Be a little bit more a challenge for the big Hawaiian. But as you talked about innovation, you know, Zeke Lau, he's no slouch in the air either. He's got an air game. He can do it backside. He can do it front side. He's groomed on the South Shore in Kiwalos, where there's an air wind, and these kids have been doing just big air since they were 12, 13 years old.
He's part of that generation.
Yeah, it's the air generation. So
you have to have it.
It's a great final that we have coming up.
And we've seen it in this event from Zeke, you know. But I think what, you know, for me, looking at what the point of difference is against his opponent, what can he do that's going to show a bit of more shine, a little bit more? You know, that we saw it already in that heat previous, those big arcs. So it was almost like he used a bit of Federico style against Federico. Whereas I think that this is going to be a substantial difference. If you can just see those long-held arcing turns on good waves, quality waves, which we saw before, that's going to be his point of difference. Yeah, if you can add an air in there too, all the better. But I think that's where you can see his key element. He's got to be on the best waves. You know, he's got to come out there fired up, very similar to what we saw him against Federico.
All right, well, let's check in with Strider Wazalewski. He's in the Snaketails camp as Zeke Lau prepares for the final.
Yeah, just listening in on the conversation, feeling the vibe, came over to check out what Jake Patterson, Snaketails, has with conversation. And they're talking about positioning in the lineup. Talked about the last heat. They're watching Kanoe Igarashi's actually out there surfing in the lineup to kind of give them a scale of where the waves are coming through in the lineup as we talk right now. So it's really interesting to watch this. And then Snake looked over and said, and you feel that little bit of wind from the south? So there's a little wind coming up the face of the right, and they both looked at each other and got really excited. So really fun to watch the interaction between the two, watch them kind of play out, lay out the playing field and what's happening. Talking about not getting too far over into the channel, staying on the peak and in position for the set waves, and went over the last final minutes of that semifinal about how he was letting, you know, Federico take waves that he knew weren't going to be the 9s that he needed, but, you know, letting him have a wave, even thinking, okay, I don't even mind if you get an 8, but you're not going to get back out here and get another one. So great execution of the end of the heat. A lot of positive and intuitive thought going into the conversation before this next heat comes up. So basically just keeping that playing field out in front of him, keeping his head straight, and keeping it positive, and that's what they've got going right now.
Hey, Strider, do you think that Kanoe Igarashi out in the lineup, was that orchestrated by Jake to kind of help Ezekiel Lau, or is that just a coincidence?
He's a Grom. He's out there surfing.
I think he's psyched to go out and surf, but I also think it was by design. You know, to have somebody in the lineup kind of feeling it out and understanding where it's at, and then being able to pass that information on as he comes in could be a great tactic. So if it wasn't by design, well, let me tell you, they're going to utilize it because they're going to have a conversation before the heat starts.
Hey, Strider, do you got eyes on Italo at all, where his preparation's happening?
He's been over in the competitors area, where he's been this whole event. So Italo's been kind of hunkered down over there in the zone, you know, having his space over there and his coaches over there, and everybody's been right there in front of the competitors area, whereas the Snake camp has been over here on the sand dune above the playing field, being able to see the entire playing field and the peak and where it's at, and watching where scores are coming. It's almost more of the judge's view over here where they're at.
Yeah, and I think Italo actually has a broadcast, so he can actually see the broadcast. A little different strategies there for both these guys.
Well, there you go. We're anticipating a final at the EDP Billabong Pro Cascais. Keep it locked because we're going to come back. Prepping for that final. Don't go anywhere.
Reservists, please follow the instructions of the water patrolling clear the area. Slops, tranquilly surf, por favor, entrem agora para a área. Já temos palmas. We're at 5 minutes to start. Muito obrigado ao nosso Water Patrol. Valeu, pessoal. Bom trabalho. Thank you also to the free surfers. Muito obrigado também aos surfistas locais por nos estarem à praia. Mais uma vez, pessoal de isso. Obrigadão. Está na área absolutamente limpa, apenas as notas de água da Water Patrol, à espera dos dois finalistas. Quem levará o primeiro prémio para casa será uma baiana, será um brasileiro.
A ton of exciting surfing leading up to this final at the EDP Billabong Pro Cascais as we're flying over the crowd that has gathered here at Guincho Beach on a holiday in Portugal, beautiful Portugal. And we're just moments away from the beginning of the final as we get a vision of the preparation with Ítalo Ferreira.
You know that stuff that you can't necessarily control? This is the part where you're asking for a little help in that control, right?
Hey.
I mean, there's those, you know, hey.
Nothing wrong with
grateful
praying.
to be in the final. You know, he's grateful that he's healed. And now asking for a little guidance on where to be in the lineup from those powers that be that you just don't know where, you know, they come from.
I like it, Peter. There's nothing wrong with praying, you know? So he's focusing himself, Ítalo Ferreira, getting ready for this final against Ezekiel Lau. It's going to be a goofy foot versus regular foot setup. We've got two certainly different body types happening right here. We have two different nations represented, the USA via Hawaii versus Brazil. So it's going to be a great show. We're going to have a 35-minute final. And the waves today, to me, have surprised me. This is probably the cleanest Guincho we've seen throughout the whole competition window. The swell has stuck around. I came here to the beach this morning, and I was really pleased to see what we had on offer.
Yeah, I mean, this is, again, a piece of the coastline that is very exposed. So we see that wind can come in here. I mean, we're almost to the most western point of Portugal. So it does happen where you're going to see a lot more wind here. We are greeted with great conditions. You know, we did know from Surfline that there would be some nice conditions this morning. The wind is going to come up here in the afternoon. We saw it the last few days. We're very blessed that we have this mid-morning glassiness, because generally when you wake up here in the morning, it's going to be onshore right away. It's always going to be lighter, but usually it's onshore. We actually had a little bit of an offshore breeze. Now coming up from the south, so that's the kind of change. What happens is you get some eddy wind. When you see that wind outside, it kind of eddies in and it'll show some south wind.
I want to say great call by our commissioner, Travis Logie, because we cut competition off for the men at the quarterfinals, just setting up for just the semis and finals today. Both of these surfers, now it's going to be a sprint. Yesterday would have been a marathon.
Yeah.
Yesterday would have been 4 half-hour rounds. It would have been 2 hours, over 2 hours of competition for each competitor in the final. But today's more of a sprint.
Yeah, and some of the things that the decision he had to make yesterday, right? There was a point where he was actually contemplating going to 25-minute heats, right? Going and shortening 5 minutes so that we would have that extra period through the afternoon. But sticking to his guns, saying, hey, I'm going to keep those 30 minutes. And then today, waking up, going, hey, we got some time.
The luxury.
Let's add another 5 minutes, right?
Love
so
it.
we had 35-minute semis, so it gave the surfers some extra time. Swell dropping a little bit, less consistent, but giving a lot of opportunity. We're going to have the same thing here in this final, 35-minute final. 2 best waves, and some of the best performing surfers, obviously, getting through to the final. And, you know, there were some great performances throughout the entire draw, but these two have been the most consistent, and that's why they're in the final heat of the day.
Love it,
final heat
love
of the
it,
event.
love it. You know, I got my hearts with Ezekiel Lau. We share the same home break. However, Team Goofyfoot, Italo Ferreira, is one of my favorite surfers in the entire world. So it's going to be an entertaining matchup as we anticipate the Hooter and the start of our 35-minute final. And it's the beginning of the final, and this is when I go to my color commentator, Peter Mel, and have him pick a winner.
Well, let's look at the strengths, and you know, let's do a little SWOT report, right? Okay. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You know, for Zeke, I think that he's going to have to keep that rhythm, right? It's going to be a lot harder for Zeke to win this final, not on the best waves. Right, so that's also a weakness that he's going to have to look at. He's going to be on the best wave, so that's going to be one of the things. He's already in rhythm. We've seen that. So let's see if he can keep that rhythm going into this final. Looking at Italo, you know, he's going to be looking. He doesn't quite have the same flow as Ezekiel does, right? So that to me is a little bit of a weakness. I think he needs to be able to bring that flow to this final, but he also needs to bring that innovation progression, and that's one of his strengths, is that he has that in his repertoire. He can take a closeout and get a 9. Right, so who am I going to pick? Very even on paper, in my opinion.
Pick one.
Come on, man.
Would you pick a? We're running out of time before this starts.
It's a hard one. I'm going to do the same thing. I don't know. Let's take a look at the conditions and send it to Strider and let him choose.
Let's send it to Strider. He's on the beach. Let's get some beach vibe.
Well, beach vibe for me, if I'm going to pick a surfer out of what I've seen today, I like the way Zeke Lau's surfing. Ezekiel Lau has been on fire. He's got a lot of good linkage, he's got some power carves, and he has identified the tide, the moving, everything's happening down here. So on the beach, we see the tide coming in, which is going to open up that inside corner, and we're going to see more maneuvers on that inside, which is going to be really fun to watch. I think we're going to see some really dynamic, explosive surfing on that shore break section where that water's going to fill in, it's going to open up the face, and we're going to see these guys go to work in there. The beach crowd, the best it's been the whole time, the waves, the funnest it's looked the entire event. So I'm really happy with the call that the commissioners have made. We're down here, it's a holiday, people are enjoying the beach, and we're going to see this thing get kicked off in a couple minutes, and these guys are going to go through the roof. I cannot wait to see the lip get damaged down here at Guincho.
Thank you, Strider. I love Strider's pick. Of course, after the European leg, we are heading to Hawaii, so you know, it's good that
we know who you're picking.
Oh, it's mine's.
All right,
obvious.
I'm actually usually I like to kind of, you know, be in contrast to Strider, but I'm going to go just because
we can't go all in.
Why? I don't have to. I can pick. You ask me what I get to choose whoever I want.
So your choice is Ezekiel Lau.
Yes, and the reason why I'm going to say that is that the demeanor in which he has been carrying, he looks like that Hawaiian gladiator. I mean, he's carrying a ton of confidence. He just looks like he wants it. This is a perfect opportunity for him. You know, it's interesting, in the beginning of the day, we talked about number 23, 24, and 25, I think it was, or 24, 25, and 26. Yep. Either way, these three surfers that were in the championship tour, were in this event, were ranked at the exact same place in the championship tour. Yeah. So they're all backing themselves up here on the qualifying series. And Zeke, this is going to be his first really solid result, no matter where he finishes.
That's right. So as we look at the championship tour ratings, Italo Ferreira sitting at number 23 on the Jeep leaderboard. Ezekiel Lau sitting at number 25 on the Jeep leaderboard. So you're right, Peter, this is a little bit of an insurance policy for both surfers. I like your call with the Warrior, with Ezekiel Lau. In Hawaii, we call that
Warrior.
Keikoa. That's the Warrior. In Portuguese, we call it the Warrior Guerrero in Portuguese. So it's kind of cool.
We love you for that. Bringing us those little tidbits, those little extra information that you wouldn't necessarily find in Wikipedia. We call it Kaipopedia.
I make stuff up sometimes, but
no, you don't.
No, I don't. Well, we're just waiting for the beginning of this heat as the surfers come in. You can see the nice glassy conditions. The beach here being really, really kind to us on this holiday in Cascais, Portugal. Beautiful Portugal. We've enjoyed a wonderful stay, and we've surfed our way through all the way till the final day of our waiting period. So we've used the entire waiting period here for both the Cascais Women's Pro and the EDP Billabong Pro Cascais. There's a Hooter and the start of our 35-minute final.
So this is an interesting time in the heat because priority is not set. So we will see these guys jock for position to see who, and again, this is a peak. So it's similar to, say, what lowers would be. Whoever's going to be in the deep position of, say, a significant right or significant left. So who is going to put themselves in the right rhythm at the beginning of the heat. We saw before Federico go and then Zeke on a better wave last time. See if that strategy plays out for him this time.
And remember, when we look at this open priority or neutral priority, we need look no further than the last big QS 10,000 at the US Open, where you got to make sure if you are going to have a tussle for the wave, you have to be at the apex. You have to be in the peak of the wave to establish your position. We had that interference between Kanoe Igarashi and Felipe Toledo, and that was because Felipe came from behind the peak. So these guys have to have the wherewithal and learn as they go, and just stay out of trouble. It looks like both of the surfers are giving each other a lot of respect currently.
Yeah, no, absolutely. At the beginning of the heat, they're not jogging. But again, it's a peak situation, so you kind of have to wait for the wave, and then that's when you start to see the movement, who's going to position themselves in the right spot and so forth. There is a new rule that was placed this year at the very beginning of these man-on-man heats. We saw in Tahiti several of these surfers, they would battle for that spot and block each other. Now, if there is any sort of blocking in the beginning of a heat, they'll actually allocate priority even without a wave being ridden. So here you go. This is exactly what I was talking about, right there. You see a wave starting to come in and someone's going to put themselves in position.
Zeke Lau being cool and letting Italo go, but Italo decides not to go on the first wave of the set. Second wave is rearing up. We'll see the positioning of our surfers now.
It's unique to this wave too, is that it does move in and out. It's not an area where you're like, okay, here's the takeoff zone. You'll see waves, those medium-sized set waves will move in, they'll slide in, they'll almost kind of go underneath and break further inside and be fairly quality waves. And then another time, they'll break 15 yards out on top of your head. So it moves in and out as much as it does move from right to left.
Have you had a look at the forecast for today, Peter?
Well, it's dropping swell.
Yeah.
It is definitely dropping swell, and of course, the wind was the one key element that we always look at, especially coming here, is that, when was that wind forecast to pick up? And we were told midday. So, you're looking at what we see right now, you start to see those little ruffles on the outside, so I think they're pretty much spot on. We'll get through these 35 minutes with fairly clean conditions.
Yeah, at the moment, we're beating the wind, and the clock is ticking down. Some separation now on the peak on this wide view between Italo Ferreira out there in the red jersey and Ezekiel Lau in the blue jersey.
Well, it looks to me like, right there that Lau is looking for the right, which is where he was scoring his big numbers earlier today, whereas Italo has just said, oh, I'll go over here on the left. And so they're separated by a good, 30 yards, 40 yards? And if a wave were to come, depending on what part of the lineup it is, they're not really going to affect each other.
And looking to our live QS rankings, the second place here, Italo Ferreira will jump to 17th on the QS rankings. If he wins this event, he's going to jump to number 11. Zeke Lau, second place, a runner-up finish will put him 18th on those rankings. If he takes a win here, he'll be right outside the cut line as well at 12th. So important insurance policy happening here at Gincho Beach for the two Championship Tour surfers, because they want to make sure they're on the big show in 2018.
Zeke Lau has been focusing directly on all of the big QS events, and he's had a pretty rough go on the QS. He really, if you look at his ranking before this event, 105.
Yeah.
And so it's a significant jump for him, especially going into, of course, his favorite time of the year, the Vans Triple Crown, the two 10,000s there. He's actually a winner of the Vans World Cup. So you would say that not ever having a good start at this event, but heading into Hawaii.
First look, Italo Ferreira. Couple of turns there. The wave kind of lets him down as it closes out. So I'm going to have to put that in the warm-up wave category for Italo Ferreira. Priority to Zeke Lau.
Yeah, was a completed ride. Again, first turn, more of a setup than just a finished closeout move. But yeah, you're looking at high-impact maneuvers and trying to get a couple of them in on the wave. Not happening there for him. So it's just going to be a fair ride, maybe even in the poor category, depending on where the judges want to set the scale. It is the first wave of the heat. See this left, it did look like it was going to have a pretty good line down, but it just shuts down super quick. So just the two maneuvers. That turn, you want to keep that board up on rail, whereas Italo kind of went flat and just shoved the fins out, making sure that he's going to get to that closeout section, attacks the closeout section, but going to be a mid-range score for Italo. Well, it looks like they're going to bring the scale up a little bit.
Opens up with a 5.83, so the judges are elevating the scale.
That's what it feels like, right?
For this final. I mean, if that's the first indicator, and maybe that's a good thing, because that's going to widen, you know, our breadth of scores that are going to be available. They didn't set it way low down and paint themselves in a corner. I like the move by the judges. 5.83.
Well, it'll be interesting
of the
comparison to what we saw yesterday in the women's final. You know, they did get compressed down at the bottom end, and that happens sometimes. So again, if you open it up, I mean, so it's a fair wave, right? It was in the fair category. I felt like it was going to be a little bit lower than in the fair category, maybe even into, you know, and that's kind of that 3 to 5 range, or, you know, and there it is at a 5.83. You know, good being from 6 to 8. Of course, excellent scores were what you would feel like would be winning this event, but you just don't know. You just you got to start building.
We got Rosie Hodge. She's down on the beach with Zeke's good friend, Kanoa Igarashi.
That's right. Also, semi-finalists here in this event. So Kanoa this morning had a heat against Italo. We've seen the conditions change quite a bit. You know, first-hand account of what the waves are like today.
Yeah, the waves got a little bit smaller and it's all clean, and you know, it's really playful out there, and you can really throw it around, but it's at the same time it's really tricky. You know, the sandbars are so hard they're not super defined, so they're hard to read, and yeah, but I surfed really bad this morning, and that's pretty much why I lost. So, you know, I'm still happy with the semifinal finish, and going into France and Portugal with you know, a little bit more comfort of knowing that I re-qualified and stuff. So I'm excited.
A great result. We also saw you have a free surf in between the semis and the final. Did you come in and give Zeke advice on where to sit?
I honestly just said, wow, I was really lost out there. So I mean, at least he knows that it's hard. I just wanted to get a couple waves, and there was nobody out just then. So it's a beautiful day. It's super clean, and you know, a lot of people on the beach. So it was fun to go for a couple waves and keep the water warm for Zeke.
And you know, Pete was just touching on it, how important it is to sometimes travel as a crew. How important has it been for you guys?
For sure. You know, it's good to feed off each other, and especially when we're all doing good, it's cool to kind of, especially when we're on other sides of the draw, and you know, we have that goal of trying to meet up in the final, and you know, that was the goal for today, but you know, I didn't do my part good enough, so but it's still cool to be able to watch Zeke, and hopefully I get to carry him up after this heat.
Kanoa, well done. You've been awesome to watch, and thanks for the honest insights. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Rosie, as we watch Zeke Lau on his opening ride, and unfortunately not able to close that one out. So both surfers not coming out with fireworks as of yet. We're down to 26 minutes and 50 seconds, Pete. So seems like both finalists starting to feel out the lineup.
A couple little mistakes there, you know, and I feel like that Zeke Lau is trying to make sure that every turn counts, you know, and sometimes with that you end up pushing a little bit too hard. You know, the swell is definitely on the wane, so it's a little bit softer, and the wave doesn't want to push back as easily.
It looks like that.
Well, and especially since, I mean, this angle, looking at the face, you really don't know how actual slopey the wall is. I mean, this is a place that it's not very steep. It only happens on the very inside on the shore break, or maybe you'll get a section that will pop up. Right there, having to complete that final maneuver there would have been very helpful to, you know, push the score up. But I mean, I think that if you look at the scale so far, Italo was on a little bit bigger wave on that set, and he was able to find that closeout, you know, and that's a critical section. And, you know, sometimes it has to be that last section because it's going to be the most critical. And it worked out well for him because right now, advantage Italo.
Advantage to Italo Ferreira. Zeke Lau got just a 3.5 on his opening wave. Now we look at Ferreira on the left again. Speeding down the line, up in the lip, throws the rotation and goes incomplete.
I like what he's thinking. You know, that's the strength that Italo has, is that he can take a wave that'll shut down quickly and still produce a solid score.
Yeah, you're right. A nimble surfer in Italo Ferreira, and that's why we enjoy all of his performances. He's got a 5.83 and a 1-point ride. He's actually going to ditch that 1-point ride. 1.87 just checked in for last of red Italo Ferreira for this wave.
Well, see what happens here too is that he gets the speed drive down the line. He's really thinking about that last section. Goes straight into it. Didn't get the loft that he would have liked. The amplitude would have been much nicer for him. And I think that's kind of why the maneuver didn't get pulled off too, is that he wanted to be a little bit more extended so he could suck the board up into his feet. But instead, it didn't pop like he would have liked. So a little bit of a misplacement of the timing of that maneuver, of where he was going to get the pop in the lip. Didn't quite get the extra lot, and it's part of that weaker swell too. You know,
right.
Generally he's been used to having some pushback, not getting that as easily today. So he's going to have to make an adjustment.
Yeah, I would describe the previous days to today as crunchy, just really to the inside section that was really clamping on people. There was a lot of push behind it. Today, I'm going to actually tell you, like, it looks soft out there.
Crunchy and soft. Sounds like a good meal.
Championship Tour results so far this year. You can see the injuries taking out Italo Ferreira after a quarterfinal start on the Gold Coast. And Italo is certainly on his way back now, and he's looking 100%.
With that 9th, and has not lost in the second round all season. And that says a lot. I mean, that's why he's sitting right there on the cut line. I mean, if you look at his results, those injuries are literally, you know, 500 points.
Right.
I mean, or zeros. I mean, they're zeros, right?
Yeah.
So it's like he doesn't even have those as scores at all.
Zeke Yalao utilizing priority, this time going right once again, setting up for something, and there's nothing for Zeke, so a little bit of a priority error.
Well, it's going to make for an exciting back half, as we are already past 10 minutes in this heat, creating some separation from Italo here, but some low scoring waves for both surfers, really. So we'll see who picks it up. I mean, this is where a heat goes as a heat goes, and you got to make adjustments throughout the heat. You know, sometimes it's, you know, making moves in the lineup. Sometimes it's, you know, even changing equipment, or sometimes it's changing strategies. You know, how are you going to ride the wave? That's why you have to have that kind of really high surf IQ. Understand what your competitor's doing, what you're doing, and sometimes utilizing the coach on the beach. I don't know if, you know, Jake has sometimes gotten involved in kind of helping point directions, but generally he sits there and he kind of takes notes.
The one thing we're seeing today, in contrast to previous days also, is with the lack of that onshore wind, our two surfers can actually hear our beach announcer, so they know their time, they know what they need. And that's going to be probably an advantage, but that's also, you know, mental weight. But it's early on. Nobody needs really big scores. Zeke Yalao just looking for a 4.21 if he wants to take the lead over Italo Ferreira. And here's Zeke, snaps on the first turn, building up some speed, throws the fins, throws the tail, disappears for a moment in the whitewater, and rides out complete. Little flurry there for the young man from Honolulu, Hawaii.
That was beautiful. You know, the big tail whip, reverse, pulled it off super clean, didn't get hung up at all. You know, he disappeared from view, kind of a little excitement from it. You know, again, a closeout, so pretty much trying to produce a score. Great technique. See how compact he got through the maneuver. Keeps him low and centered to the board, allows him to flow out of the maneuver easily. Little punch through there, gets the tail towards the beach. One of the techniques that you have to do when you do those types of moves is to push it towards the beach, not up, it's out. Getting that tail moving at the beach, kind of with the speed of the wave. You feel like that score is going to be, you know, elevated over the 3.5, so it will go into his top two.
Well, Pete, I always look for some insight for the roving Strider Wazalewski. Strider.
Down here on the beach, just down in front of the judges' tower. So the judges are up there in the big tower, 2 stories up above on the sand dunes, so elevated. They can see the entire playing field absolutely perfectly. They can actually see where the peak is. Right now, it's very hard to define where to be in the lineup. As this tide comes in, the surfers right now are probably separated by over 150 yards in the lineup. So they're definitely both picking different places to surf. Zeke is kind of off to the south end of the sandbar, and Italo is up on the north end. So Italo most likely looking for those left-hand waves coming at him off the edge of that sandbar, and Zeke looking for the right, so he's down on the other end of it. I'm not too sure if priority is going to play a huge role in this matchup until the end of this match, because these guys are basically separated completely. Watching from up above there in the judges' tower, though, you really do get a great idea of what's happening in the lineup, and you get a really solid look at those maneuvers. And when we see that tail go flying into the air and we see what's happening out in the lineup, that's what we want to see, those big, high-impact, high-risk maneuvers, and that's what's going to win this final.
Thank you for the beach perspective, Strider. Score just came in for Zeke Lau for that last right-hander of 5.17, and the Hawaiian takes the lead over the Brazilian surfer. Italo Ferreira now trailing, but just needs a 2.84 if he wants to take the lead back from Ezekiel Lau. You can see how we got at that 5.17. Judges went as high as a 5.5 and as low as a 4.7.
Of course, with those 5 scores, you drop that high and low, and then average the 3 scores left over, and that's where you get that number. 5.17, just about a half point underneath Italo's best wave. So we've got a pretty much even Steven final, surfing separate portions of the bank, so they're not going to use that priority strategy, at least at this point, which Strider touched on. You know, and I'm just looking out the lineup over the sea, you know, and Zeke's kind of sitting in the zone that we've seen already most of the surfers this morning, whereas Italo has moved away. You know, he didn't surf in that zone this morning. He is now kind of to that north angle looking for one of those bigger lefts.
Kind of surprising from this perspective because it's going to allow Ezekiel to surf under Italo's priority, but that didn't work out. Italo now finds a left-hander, glides through the lip, punches a layback, throws the tail, incomplete, and an unfortunate circumstance for the Brazilian surfer, losing priority, but more importantly, not attaining a meaningful score.
And you talk about utilizing priority, but at this point, surfing different areas of the bank not a factor.
Yeah,
you're going to be surfing one surfing rights, one surfing lefts, and it's a matter of who read the lineup pre-heat. As you see, Italo doing everything, pushing so hard, and on a flat section like that, you get that rail. It'll actually pop out if you don't have enough speed to really dig in. That's kind of the situation for him. And now, look outside. Looks like Zeke might have an opportunity.
We'll see the positioning on the bank by Ezekiel Lau as he's outside with priority. 17 minutes, 40 seconds counting down. Still plenty of time. Our view from high up above. And the beautiful texture of the ocean right now for our finalists. Still relatively glassy out here.
We need the North Atlantic just to send a few more waves in to finish out this final, give the opportunities to these guys to really surf it out. Although it can be an exciting finish. Again, seeing what we saw yesterday, Carissa Moore needing just a 3 through the back half of the heat. What 7 minutes worth probably? There she needed a 3.
And she had 3 tries at it as well.
Yeah, and so it made it very exciting and went down all the way to the wire. So even a low scoring heat can be exciting.
Well, it becomes a mental game as we take a look at the points online. Second place is going to get 8,000 points. First place, 10,000 points. So a 2,000 point separation between the victor and the runner-up.
And you see, as it moves up in the rankings of those points, is that there's a bigger separation throughout each of those placings.
Zeke Lau really having to scratch into this right-hander. Comes around the corner, snaps a big layback gouge, throwing it all. Nice carve back into the whitewater. He's on his way to a good score. Another snap for Ezekiel. Lau now for the finish. And another big snap, goes complete, stands up. No, he's got his job done. He's going to ditch that 3.5, likely, and further increase the requirement for Italo Ferreira.
Very aggressive first maneuver there. It was a smaller wave, but I'll tell you, he picked up enough speed and really laid into that turn. He's got that kind of layback snap on lock. Also the big round arc. So he's got a lot of versatility, a lot of variety on that forehand and where he gets the angles of attack. But I love that he's been able to show us this one in the final, because this is one of his turns that he has been able to get big numbers on. Carries a lot of speed and then digs in. I mean, really everything into that turn, putting it into that back foot. So this is definitely going to go into his top 2, and he made sure that he was going to finish. You don't want to leave anything there. Another little tomahawk. Looks up at the judges, quick little glance at him. From up above, not the biggest set wave, but he saw that it was going to have a nice clean line. It was going to give him the opportunity to have some open face. It wasn't going to close out on him. It was going to be able to get several maneuvers done. But I like what he did, very similar to what he did in his semifinal heat, getting his major maneuvers done on the outside section. Look at that, just lays into it. That's the layback where you put that back arm, and you dig in the back arm, and then push as hard as you possibly can through the tail block, and then compress and put the board back under your feet. Feels like this is going to probably be the best wave of the heat. It's exactly what he needs to do here. Nice finish too, again, making sure that he rides out of that final maneuver.
6.67, 6.67. The highest single wave score of the heat so far attained by Ezekiel Lau. He's going to keep his lead, and the requirement now for Italo Ferreira, you can see it in the blue column, a 6.02 if he wants to come out on top. 14 minutes, 25 seconds remaining. Watching through that last wave, Peter, an interesting thing as we see Italo make a move, there's probably 20 pounds of weight difference between Italo and Ezekiel Lau, but they're actually utilizing the same exact fin design or same exact fin size as well. So, little interesting equipment tidbit there.
Well, you figure that Italo and Zeke have a similar, approach in digging their boards in. So having that bigger fin, you're going to get pushed back with the bigger fins.
Zeke Lau staying busy. Off the bottom, hacks one off the top. Beautiful radius on that turn. Eases into a cutback. Wave tapers a bit. Looking to flare something in the finish. And throws it into a nice little reverse. Stands up, looking proud. Did he better? His low of a 5.17 is the question.
Yeah, it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be a significant change if it is better. But I like how he's staying busy. At this point, there's still so much time that it's like, okay, I'm just going to keep pulling the trigger here and try and build upon the scores I have. Another one of those waves that didn't have a ton of size. It wasn't a major set wave. And maybe that's where he's starting to look at this adjustments here. Is he's like, okay, maybe there isn't going to be any of those bigger waves. So I'm just going to kind of keep riding waves out. And maybe I'll get a section that's going to give me something different to look at. Love how he finishes that. It was a very weak section at the end, but he's still able to get the tail free and around into the reverse. And what this does is it kind of keeps Italo thinking, and it applies that pressure. You keep hearing the beach commentator talking about Zeke, and oh, he rode this last wave, there's blues up. You're always,
it's a mental game.
It is. And now he's feeling like, oh, maybe I need to make an adjustment. And all of a sudden you start to kind of question what you're doing sitting a little bit farther north. Now I'm moving south now, making an adjustment.
Will Italo come back? We'll find out. Stick with us for more of the EDP Billabong Pro Cascais.
Lots of blue, everything, Corsi. You have second guard, Halsey. 10 miles for your last wave.
Welcome back to the EDP Billabong Pro Cascais. Looks like Italo's making some adjustments, just like you guys were talking about in the booth, coming over to where Zeke's catching all of his little waves. The sandbar filling up, the water getting higher over that sandbar, and these guys are finding waves. Looks like Italo's found himself a nice little wave on that inside corner, bang, off the top, 2 beautiful hits. What's he gonna finish with? A solid slam and brings it home. The beach lights up. Adjustments are being made. Let's see if he can strike back, get back into this thing, and see a really good battle at the end.
Thanks, Strider. Last score for Ezekiel Lau was a 5.33, so that means on that wave surfed by Italo Ferreira, he was surfing for a 6.18 or better to take the lead. As we near the 10-minute mark, we're waiting for the judges' opinion of that last wave for Italo Ferreira.
This is it, the back half, 10 minutes to go. That last score of Zeke does go into his top 2. Like I said, it wasn't going to be a huge increase to the score line, but it does add a little bit of extra, 1/10 of a point. Does Italo catch him? You know, it's going to be Italo's best wave. Love to see a replay of it.
We're going to stick with live action right now as Ezekiel Lau picks off a right-hander, had a long wall to it, so he's going to have to flare something up, and there it is.
Wow.
Big air reverse, stomps the landing, bolts, as we say, and rides out of it, looking to better now and build on his low of a 5.33.
Wax it, stomp pad. Oh.
Wax it instead of bolts.
Yeah,
you like
waxed. Well, I mean, there's no bolts on a surfboard.
I know, I like bolts.
There's fin screws. I know, it's cool. That's a good one. It's the name, everything. It's all good. But I understand it. He landed that one, stomped it.
Stomped it.
And, you know, no laybacks, no hitches, nothing came out of it. It is just one maneuver. So it's not going to be a gigantic score. Let's take a look at Italo's first here. So this score is just now starting to trickle in. That backhand snaps, 2 in a row, and then a third. So he's got himself kind of some rhythm, some flow, and he gets the finish, glides over it pretty easily. I mean, a lot of turns there, some high impact moves as you crinkle your brow, because you wanted to see this.
I want to see this right here.
The big one move, tail high, air reverse. So again, using that innovation, takes the big breath, but then punches the fins towards the beach. You see the board actually waffle slightly, and it was able to keep control. And Italo able to turn the heat with that last wave.
Oh my, a 6.27 for that series of backhand snaps for Italo Ferreira. Now puts Ezekiel Lau in the passenger seat, needing a 5.43 to come back and get back into the driver's seat. We'll see what the judges say. Needs a 5.43. Ezekiel Lau, he's not going to wait to hear that score. He's going to keep surfing, this time going left. Lau off the bottom and kicks out as there's no opportunity on that wave. Italo Ferreira takes a left. Little hitch there and has to float that whitewater section. A little caught up in that carve, but gets a little tail release to finish. Snap. Forcing this wave a little bit, Italo Ferreira, and you can see even with that finish.
Well, at the end there, I mean, it's like, okay, is he going to improve on the 5.83? We're feeling, oh, maybe. And then at the end, the fall kind of makes me go up. No, I don't think so. I think it's going to be right around that mid-range 5 again. I mean, there was a couple nice snaps there. The score does come in for Zeke Lau.
Big air reverse, earns the big Hawaiian a 6.23, back in the driver's seat, and Italo Ferreira now looking for a 6.64 if he wants to take a win here.
And it feels like with that fall at the end, even with the surfing being done earlier here, let's take a look. I don't think it's going to be quite enough. The float, again, that's more of a transition move there. He gets to dig in, flattens the board out, slides it. Pretty nice snap there. Nose almost dug, but he keeps it together. And then the fall at the very end just makes me feel like it's probably not going to be enough. This is where the strategy is going to have to come in for Ezekiel Lau. Now he does not want to separate himself from Italo Ferreira. At this point, you've got that lead. Don't let him sit by himself. You want to be kind of right next to him. He would be hearing this information coming up soon. As soon as this score comes in for Italo, at that point he's going to know, okay, I've got the lead, I've got priority. I mean, the decision being made at six minutes left, do you try and improve on his low of a 6.23? Maybe at this point you kind of want to sit in the zone that you have seen those high quality waves, not move away too much, and not play defense.
Yeah, looking at Zeke Lau.
He's sticking to his guns.
Sticking to his guns. His last
offensive player,
his last final was last year in Portugal. It was in the islands, though, in the Azores. And his last win, Zeke Lau's, was in 2013 at Sunset, a break that Zeke has dominated in competition. That was the World Cup. So Zeke Lau back in the driver's seat. Let's see if he can stay there as we go through the curves of the last 5.5 minutes of this final.
Well, I like the strategy so far because there is a lot of time, right? He's just going to sit in that zone. Although now you got to think about Italo because of the firepower that the kid has, you know, with just a closeout. You know, so even if he feels like there's a wave over there, you got to kind of stay nearby.
Yeah, we know when you back Italo Ferreira in a corner, he comes out with fireworks. Here's our heat recap, Peter.
Well, of course, this early wave came in at a 5.83. That was the scale set. And you know what? That was a bigger set wave. And I think that's the reason why we saw that score get elevated. That was something that, you know, you're kind of wondering why it was that way. That's why. It was one of the bigger waves we've seen so far in this final. Beautiful surfing from Ezekiel Lau to be able to build. He had the 517, the 667. He's using a mix of both his power and aggression plus the progression. And that's where it's been for him to be out in front. Italo using his flow and his rhythm gets his best wave, a 627 right here. Those quick backhand snaps growing up on a right-hand point break with a sand bottom, similar to Snapper Rocks, but that's where he's earned those skills. It's been a little bit of a seesaw battle. I mean, that was the lead taken away at that point, and then this, the 623, going to the innovation, the air progression for Ezekiel Lau, got back the lead. Here we sit with 4 minutes to go.
Zeke Lau with the lead and priority. As we're at the 4-minute mark, he's going to let, I thought he was going to let Italo sneak under his priority, but the big Hawaiian's going to have to keep his competitor in sights. Rather than playing defense, looks like Zeke's going to play some offense, taking this left, lining up for something, stabs it, pokes the nose, and a priority air, opening the door for Italo Ferreira at 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Pete.
Did he even look at that wave, Italo?
I don't know why he did that.
Thanks, Kaipo. I mean, it does feel like there was a little bit of an error, right? I mean, unless he saw something down the line where you're like, whoa, this wave's going to have a nice rhythm to it.
For sure.
I mean, I guess he had to kind of commit. I mean, that was a selling act that was done right there by Italo Ferreira. You know, and that's the respect that you have of Italo.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like once he committed to that point, like he kind of had to make an effort. I mean, you make a concerted effort, you're going to give up priority anyway. Might as well just go. But that was
great
a good job by
exactly. Great salesmanship by Italo Ferreira. He just sold them a lemon with 250,000 miles on it. We're in 3 minutes right now, and it's going to be tense times for Ezekiel Lau if he wants to hold the lead. Lots of opportunity for Italo Ferreira. We know from the past, you back this man into a corner, Ferreira, and he's going to bring some innovation. He's going to bring some progression. He's got stuff that we haven't even seen before in a competitive jersey. Let's see what he's got for us as we're at the 2.5 minute mark.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and now he's got the priority, so he's got free reign of the lineup. Now they've almost switched spots. You know, now you see Zeke's going to sit to that north end. Hey, let's see if you know, the rhythm pays off for him. There's a set wave out there. See if it heads his way. Kind of looks like it is.
Little texture starting to breeze upon the water as we're into 2 minutes here in the final. Zeke showing some interest here. Italo likely to block as he does. Now he's going to have to do some work on this right-hander. Building up some speed down the line. Backhand snap. Setting something up. No opportunity. Priority to Zeke Lau under 2 minutes.
Well, he just sold the car back to him.
Yeah, he did. He traded it in, didn't he?
Well, and this is it. I mean, that wave did look like it could have had an opportunity for Italo, but it moved off of the shallow water into the deeper water and flattened out. So no lip to be had, and Italo had basically all that speed, nothing to do with it.
Now the pullback angle, you see the stalking of Ezekiel Lau as he's going to paddle right up to Italo Ferreira in this final 90 seconds and really make it hard for Italo to get another wave because he does have priority. He's going to stick on him like Velcro.
Uh-oh, he's going to give it.
He's going to take a wave, and he's going to play some offense. What a gentleman. Snaps and kicks out.
Well, again, that's the respect being given to Italo. I mean, you just don't know. You give him a little bit of an opportunity, and the kid can go. This is it.
This is going to be it. This is for all the chips here at the EDP Billabong Pro Cascais. Under a minute, Italo Ferreira is going to have one more chance. One more chance at a 6.64. It is decision time for the Brazilian Goofy Foot. What is he going to do? He's taking off. He's looking right. Building speed down the line. Some crumble in front of him. He's going to lessen his opportunity. Does the air reverse layback incomplete? And maybe not. But was that enough? Was that enough, Peter Mel?
I'm going to say no. I don't think it is. I mean, the
great
crowd,
showmanship.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's, again, the difference between stomping your move and having a butt check.
Here we go. Zeke Lau. Last wave. Air reverse. Sticks it. Things are going Zeke's way.
Sure looks like it. And there's the hooter.
Waiting for
scores. To say not going to be enough. I mean, a pretty easy judgment for me personally.
Let's wait to make it official,
yes.
Peter Mel. And we're going to keep eyes on Ezekiel Lau.
Well, let's take a look at the replay too. I mean, you know, we may see something in there that's a little bit different. Italo, you know, as much as he was trying to sell that 6.64, I think he knows in his heart that it may not be enough. At least you can tell by the body language.
Yeah, it's not going to be enough. Let's take a look at it.
Well, and here we take a look at it. Carrying a ton of speed into this final move. Goes almost above the lip, but again, the layback and the struggle to get back. He does pull it off, but there's the score. Not even in his top 2.
3.4, not enough. It is official. Let's see if Zeke hears the news. He doesn't know yet. Give it to him. Now he realizes it. There you go. There you go.
That's right.
That's right.
$40,000 richer.
10,000 points. Goes to 12th on the QS rankings. Ezekiel Lau, let's get the chair up. Congratulations. I get to drop some Hawaiian right now.
There's
Peter
Keanu.
Mel.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my kai. Congratulations to Ezekiel Lau. Oh my kai.
Yeah. My kai.
My kai.
Moi kai. I'm not going to say it right, am I?
Eo.
I'm a haole.
All right. Love it, love it, love it. We picked it. It happened. And it is going to be a momentous occasion.
I mean, if you think about it, that was probably an underdog pick, in a way, because, you know, Italo's experience on the championship tour, and you could hear that scream all the way up here in the booth.
Last time he was chaired up was at home at Sunset Beach in the 2013 World Cup. Zeke's getting that winning feeling again, surrounded by his tight crew and the crowd here. Holiday in Portugal, and it's going to be a great celebration for the Hawaiian, Ezekiel Lau.
He's got the Kanoa and Keanu doing the chair up. This is tradition. As the winner gets chaired up all the way.
Not a light champion either.
No, it isn't.
Oh boy. Well, these are the moments in surfing that we love. And maybe, well, certainly, not maybe, momentum building for Ezekiel Lau. He's going to have a day to recover, and then he's off to France for the championship tour in the Quickie Pro. That Quicksilver Pro starts October 7th. So Zeke's going to have a night to celebrate, and then he's going to have to put the game face and the work hat back on and head to France.
And of course, his sponsor's event, so they'll be taken care of there. You know,
yeah.
It's always nice to get to kind of come into your team hood. You know, the headquarters right now is in Quicksilver at St. Jean de Luz. And here he is,
Rosie
champion.
Hodge is on the beach with Zeke.
His feet did not touch the sand until he got to the step and repeat. Ezekiel Lau, the last time you won was 2013 at Sunset Beach. Regained that winning feeling.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. I can't believe it. It's like my first year I even made a heat here. So to be in the final is just already just a win, and to actually, you know, clutch up and get it, I'm just so stoked. I'm just so happy, you know, all the people here supporting me, and everyone back home. I'm just so happy.
And describe that feeling. We mentioned it this morning. We had a look at you, and you just looked like you were on point. So just clicking into that competitive form that you've been searching for.
Yeah, I think it's been a long year of learning. I've been learning about myself and how I like to compete. And you know, I was coming to this event, I was just like, you know what? There's nothing different than me showing up and surfing like any other day. I just have a jersey on, so I was just approaching every day like that. And you know, I love it. I love the competition aspect. So, you know, I was just learning to enjoy every bit of it, and just go out there and surf and let my surfing just do everything.
Rookie year on the championship tour, these QS 10,000s, they are such a challenge, a gauntlet. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about the hard work that goes into that?
Yeah, for sure. It's been a long year for me. I mean, this is the most competing I've done probably in my life, and you know, I've been just really having a lot of fun and learning a lot. And you know, like I said, I was coming to this event just with so much more experience and, you know, more confidence. So that's definitely, I think, what you bring in from your rookie year on tour coming in these QSs is just more confidence.
What about your crew? I mean, what a great bunch of guys to carry you up the beach and just be with you every step of the way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that, you know, I'm being on the road and being away from home for that long, you know, it's taxing. But when you have a good crew like that with the Snaketails crew and Keanu and Kanoa and, you know, all the boys here, the Monizes, having Snake in our corner, it's been awesome. I've been loving it.
Your 2017 EDP Billabong Pro Cascais champion, Ezekiel Lau. We'll be back with the WSL Post Show. Stay with us.
Som. Podem vir se aproximando. Por favor, aproximem-se. Dentro de momentos vamos dar início então à cerimónia de premiação deste EDP Billabong Pro Cascais.
Welcome back to the WSL Post Show at the EDP Billabong Pro Cascais. We've just seen Ezekiel Lau take a big win, first win since 2013, where he did that at home. At the World Cup at Sunset Beach, the Hawaiian taking 10,000 points as well as a jump up in the rankings here. Kai Pugaro along with Strider Wazlewski and Gig Cilliers to break down all the action. We had a short day today, but an exciting day with semifinals and finals. Strider, what's your thoughts?
My thoughts are we saw Zeke come firing out this morning, and he was the informed surfer of the morning, and so therefore we thought he was going to win, and he did. The event's been a marathon. It's been all the way down to the last day. We had crazy surfing all the way through this thing. We saw waves go up into the 9.6, but never excellent on the very top with a 10. So there's some room left to wiggle there in the event, but definitely a fun time here in Cascais.
Giggs, though, Italo did not make it easy for him. He was looking in form in his early appearance in the semifinal #1, and he's also been in form throughout this whole long event that we've had here.
Absolutely, and you know, when we came over the dunes this morning, looking at the conditions on hand, probably the most glassy day we had. A couple of little bowls. I know Strider and I always joke about the skate ramp thing. And I actually thought it was Kanoa Igarashi's to take this morning when we got down to the beach, coming off the fact that he'd taken that win at the US Open against a really top-edged field. No disrespect to the fact that we did start with 20 Championship Tour surfers here. But when we looked at the conditions, Italo, though, I don't feel really got into full gear here in that final. But all credit to the big Hawaiian, Ezekiel Lau. When we have a look at that semi-final #1 here, it was Italo all the way.
Looking strong. He started out, you know, on the backhand in the semifinals. He definitely had more fire than Kanoa did in this heat, right? You saw you saw what was going on right from the start, where you can just see the surfers and how fast they're going and how much rail they're using and how they're responsive they are in the heat. I think Kanoa tried to battle back a little bit, but just never found the flow that our man, Italo had in this heat. Although that turn right there, probably the most dynamic of the entire semifinal.
Yep.
But not enough. You need to link a few of those together. Just some stock standard surfing really got it done for Italo. So for him to make the final, he didn't have to go way out on a limb. Just bash the lip a few times and put away some sixes. And I think that's starting out the final. That's why he went and sat so far over there on that left, because he knew that he was only getting sixes on those rights, and he needed to go to that left and get in the air to get up into the excellent range, and that's the only way he was going to be able to win that final.
There you go, 12.67 versus 12.3, so tight semifinal number 1, but that put Italo Ferreira in the final here at the EDP Billabong Cascais Pro. Great surfing throughout the event. I think it was a good move for us to kind of hit the brakes yesterday, guys, and gear up for just a short day today, but an exciting day. And what do you think, Shire?
I think that the action would have been there yesterday. We would have seen some crazy surfing. There was definitely a lot of energy in the water. So, there would have been some performances, but it would have been a little harder to read. You also would have been kind of almost like a coin toss as to who was going to catch the waves. Today, the playing field very even. You got to see everything visually. You got to hear everything. There wasn't anything left to, I don't know what I'm doing in this heat. I'm just kind of going by braille, trying to figure out what I'm doing. So I like the call to roll it over today.
Well, it was a good call to roll it over today because it's a holiday. It let the crowds come down to the beach and cheer on their local hero, Frederico Moraes. Kikas was in semifinal number 2 versus Ezekiel Lau.
Well, guys, I thought that this was Ezeke's to lose here, surely against Frederico Moraes, having that local momentum. But Zeke hasn't done a thing wrong. He blazed past Griffin Calapinto in the quarters yesterday, and he really found these right-hander strata that opened up for him, and he really got those power gouges in.
Surfing with more intensity, you could see he wanted to win, and it showed in his surfing. Coupling that with the wave energy, he knew he had to bring more energy because there was less energy in the water, and he did that. Kikash, Frederico Moraes was late to the party. He barely got off the wall and started dancing, and you know what? By that time, there was nobody left on the dance floor. Really, he was already, he'd already been kind of used up in the corner. I was unfortunate for him, but he did fire up at the end of this thing. He did have a lot of energy coming into it, but he was also having to manufacture that energy and try to put those scores up as to where our man Zeke had already gotten to work. He'd already put some scores up and done all the work on the outside, so looking strong.
This really was a late effort from Frederico Moraes here. He was pretty much against the wall from the start of the heat because of the momentum and the flair that Zeke had offered. But still, a good result under his hometown crowd here for Frederico Moraes. He surely is a hometown hero, and he is the celebration of Portugal. But look at that score, 7.77 and the 7.5. A clear lead and a clear win.
Well, I caught up with Frederico just now, and he said, you know what? It's okay. I'm on fire. I'm ready for this action up in Peniche, or in France, sorry.
Here's our final recap as Ezekiel Lau comes up against Italo Ferreira, two of the most informed surfers, and that's how they earned their spot in the final. And early on, he was Italo Ferreira.
Well, looking for those lefts, again, I think that's what, he knew that his tact on that left would be, he could get greater scores over there. Zeke busting fins out, looking so spicy and flared out. Like, I love that stuff, Giggs.
All credit to the Hawaiian. He brings the power game to the qualifying series, but he's got that new school flair as well. These turns cannot be beaten in the beach break when you apply this much power. And, well, he got past Frederico Moraes easily, and this is where he really started putting pressure on Italo Ferreira here.
I like the way that he finished that little wave on the inside. Italo had to go looking for him, though, man. He had to readjust, he had to recalibrate and go find him on those rights, and he did. He got a solid score into the sixes, but it was a little too late. But Zeke, going above the lip, beautiful surfing right here, absolutely, pushing the progression element. But Zeke made two really big mistakes at the end of this final, where he actually opened the door for Italo twice. Yep. Gave him priority twice at the end of this thing. That was that could have come back to haunt him. So taking away something from that, there's still lessons to be learned for Zeke. Still coming away with the win. Hats off to him. Was the best surfer this morning. You could see him coming out firing, and he was on fire.
Strada, I agree with you. I think when Snaketails and Zeke go through the replay of that, and they'll analyze it, because that's what the surfers are doing. They're going back, they're using the heat analyzer. They will pick up on the fact that there was 2 times there where Italo could have come back with a comeback story. But all credit to the Hawaiian. He shows the power and the pedigree of the modern breed of Hawaiian surfer. Power from the old school, but with the new world flair as well. So good stuff, a great final here in Portugal.
Well, guys, with that, let's throw it to Peter Mel. He's up on the stage for our presentation.
Yeah, thank you, Kaipo. Of course, the crowd here is gathered for the presentation. I have to acknowledge Pedro from Billabong. Of course, our mayor here, Carlos Cabrero, and he has just been reelected, so congratulations as well. And then, yes, Paula from EDP, thank you very much. I'm sorry, I got to look at my paperwork here. And again, I want to introduce also Rob Gunning, who is going to be helping. He's the tour manager for Europe. Rob Gunning is going to be able to give out some of the hardware as well. Of course, this qualifying series, again, here, Europe, Rob, and actually all of Portugal, your support of competitive surfing here on the Championship Tour, Big Wave, as well as the qualifying series and men's and women is unbelievable. And of course, you folks make that all possible here coming down on this beautiful holiday. So big round of applause for all the people that support this, as well as for you guys at home. Without further ado, let's bring up our runner-up of the EDP Billabong Pro Cascais, Italo Ferreira. Italo, congratulations on your runner-up. I know that, of course, you would have loved to be a champion this year, but your comeback from injury has been amazing. You started off the season at the Quicksilver Pro with a quarterfinal on the CT, then you had an injury. How has that comeback been for you? Has it been easy? Has it been hard?
Yeah, that was hard. There was 3 months, and I'm back right now, so I'm so happy. And congrats, Zig. Yeah. He was surfing well, so thanks everyone to come here. And I'm so happy. I can speak in Portuguese right now.
Absolutely.
Então, galera, obrigado. Obrigado pela vibe. Estou muito feliz de ter feito a final aqui. Estou por aqui já são 3 segundos em Portugal. Mundial Júnior, Peniche aqui. Vamos ver o que é que me espera em Peniche esse ano, né? Espero levar. E é isso aí. Obrigado a todos, valeu pela vibe e estou muito feliz e obrigado Deus, obrigado família, a todos que estavam na torcida. Valeu.
Italo Ferreira, runner-up. Congratulations, Italo. And now your champion coming all the way from Hawaii, the big man, Ezekiel Lau. First win this season. There's Zeke. Congratulations, my friend. You come into this event, not the greatest memories. You've had a pretty rough go to try and surf here, but things changed for you. What was it?
I think I just had a lot more heat experience under my belt this year and surfing a lot of different waves, and I definitely had to improve my beach break competing and surfing in beach break. So I think over the years I've been able to dial that down and work on some boards that have been working well for me. And I just kept swinging away and come out with a win. I'm stoked.
You had Federico Moraes in the semifinals. Of course, this crowd obviously wanting to see Federico get through. How is it surfing not only against your competitor that lives and surfs here all the time, but also the crowd?
I love it. I love the whole aspect of the crowd cheering, and we have the same thing when I'm competing at home in Hawaii, and it creates that whole competitive environment, and I love it. So I was really stoked to see the crowd show up for him and watch our heat, and that kind of amped me up to try and perform at my best. And he was surfing great, so it was a great heat.
A lot of people to thank, I'm sure, that have been in your corner. You've got the group that you're traveling with, but I saw that you had a new partner with Keanu, being able to spend a little time with him. Who do you want to thank?
Yeah, the whole Snaketails crew, Kanoa, you know, Snake, Keanu, Griffin's down here, all the Moniz brothers, Leo, and all the boys been just supporting me every day this week. And, you know, to feel that on the road, it's awesome. And we just want to thank Keanu. We've been staying together, and it's been a while since we've stayed together for an event. So, you know, it just got me back to the Grom days, and we've just been having fun.
So does this mean you guys are going to hang out in France together?
Exactly.
All right, well, there you go. Let's, Italo, come on up. Oh, hold on.
Just thank you to everyone at Cascais and, you know, all the people over here in Portugal, Billabong, and WSL for putting on the event. Muito obrigado.
Muito obrigado. You're champion. Come forward, guys. The mayor, Carlos, handing over the hardware. There's your champion. Celebration moment. You can't be on stage and not win an event without a little champagne shower. All right, one more big round of applause. Let's let them hear it all the way across the globe. Your champions here, the runner-up and the winner, Italo Ferreira and Ezekiel Lau. All right, well, we'll finish up the post-show. Let these guys celebrate. Back up to you, Kaipo.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Peter Mal. Congratulations to both Ezekiel Lau and Italo Ferreira. Hey, don't call it a comeback. This kid's been here for years, but it's been a while since he's taken out a win. It was 2013 at Sunset Beach when the last time we saw Ezekiel Lau with a victory. But really good to see both of these surfers who both need some QS points due to their current championship tour rankings. Gosh, let's take a look at those rankings, guys, because it's changed a bit since the start of this heat. There's been a start of this event.
It has changed, but, you know, what's changed is how excited you got. You felt like you won the contest, huh, Kipes?
A little bit.
I love it. Yeah,
you know what?
For the Hawaiians.
Hey, we're all
right there.
together, bro.
You crushed it, bro.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, but it's great to see him come back and win an event, and the energy that he showed us in the water. We hadn't seen that out of anybody really through the event, and to see somebody separate themselves from the pack on the final day and bring that's what champions do, and that's what he did.
Yeah, absolutely. Performances of Ezekiel Lau here, I think you can't question it. It will bump him up the qualifying series rankings, but he still sits outside the top 10 here, guys, as we look at it.
Kanoe Igarashi jumped up to number 2 over Yago Dora. However, William Cardoso climbed a few spots with a great showing here. Keanu Singh up to 6, and Griffin Colapinto went from 10 to 7. So we have had a little bit of shuffling as well as separation. And we look at the final numbers. We're still anticipating the 19,000 point mark to qualify via the qualifying series. Ezekiel Lau now sitting at 12th, and we see Italo Ferreira down there in 17th. So those guys with big jumps, boys.
Big jumps, there's movement, you know, on this qualifying series. As we know, this thing's really not over until it's over right there. The Vans World Cup is going to go down at Sunset Beach. You know, the Hawaiian Pro at Haleiwa, both waves, a roll of the dice for surfers. I mean, there's so much water moving at the Hawaiian Pro at Haleiwa. The Vans, it's just like crazy how much you get into Sunset and all the water moving around out there, trying to figure out where to sit up on the point, on the West Bowl, in that midsection. I mean, that place is one of the hardest lineups in the world to master.
Next up, yeah, this is the 7 Mile Miracle on the North Shore of Oahu. But before that, we got something to look forward to on the championship tour schedule. We're going into the Quicksilver and Roxy Pro. That's going to start October 7th in France. The European leg moves pretty quickly, doesn't it, Strider?
It does, and those waves come in quickly. They have been getting barreled off their nuts up there. They've been going crazy in the tube. All the social media has been lighting up, so they're all really warmed up. They're all feeling it. These guys are going to have to race up there now. So these guys that surf this event, they're a little bit behind the 8 ball. They're going to have to go up there, settle into the sandbars, and figure out what to do, Gigs.
Well, we had a look at that qualifying series top 10. Sitting in there's Keanu Singh. So he's going to be part of the, he's an invite now. It's an official wildcard invitation. He was the winner there last year. It's going to be great to see this whole thing unfold, and it starts just in 2 days' time.
That's right. Let's take a look at what we have looking forward to for the next event, the Quicksilver and Roxy Pro over in France. There you go, Quicksilver Roxy Pro coming up in just 2 days, October 7th, starting up. Your thoughts on going into France, Strider?
My thoughts that we are going to see these guys front row seats. The sandbars at La Gravière, where they're predicting that this is where the event's going to happen. So it's a mobile event. Up and down the beach is where are we going to sit? Well, contest director there, I think, is Alan Rio, and he has found himself a sandbar, and you're literally sitting within 30, 40 yards of where they're going to be finishing off their waves. It could just be one of those great spectator events where you're going to be that close to the action, and the surfer is going to be able to feel the vibe. So I encourage everybody to get down there and let them know how they feel.
Gigs, Roxy Pro coming up. Sally Fitzgibbons in the yellow Jeep Leaders jersey coming into that. She wasn't satisfied with a semifinal finish here. She's going to want to do better. Your thoughts on that?
Well, lots of speculation and discussion about that, but the point of the matter is it is a very respectable third place for Sally Fitzgibbons. The yellow jersey sneaks out just a few points ahead, and it makes this world title race not only on the Women's Championship Tour, but the men's side as well, so difficult to predict in 2017.
I love it. So, guys, we're going to have some highlights. Stick with us for those highlights, and next time you see us, we're going to be at the Roxy and Quicksilver Pro in France. From Kaipo Guerrero, Strider Wazalewski, and Geek Sealiers, aloha.
And now we get to contest the final four here at the EDP Billabong Pro Cascais QS 10,000. Noah's up to something. And now flaring for semi-final number one here. Italo's going to keep piling it on the table here.
Frederico just didn't put the hammer down.
Another power display here. So the third QS 10,000 will see a Brazilian and a Hawaiian.
The winner of the EDP Cascais Billabong Pro is Zeke Lau.
This copyrighted event broadcast is produced by the World Surf League for broadcast around the world and may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the written consent of the World Surf League.